Stand up, New York Giant fans. Try to bring on different content creators each week. Got a bunch of people on today. Super excited to talk to all of them. And Anthony, Alex's partner, is also going to be on the channel. He said he's going to be in about 9:15. So we're going to have one more guy on the round table. We'll take some call-in guests, probably about 25, 30, 35 minutes. We'll take one at a time. We got a big game coming up this week, guys. Obviously, Giants have pulled off 4 straight. We're trying to get our 5th to get the 6 and 7 as we inch closer and closer into what we hope is a playoff berth. We're going to go around. We'll start with Alex. Alex, of course, from Fireside Giants. Does a great job over there. What's going on, Alex, man? Thanks for popping on, buddy.
Pretty good, man. I can't complain. I'm actually curious to see how long you can do this stand up for. Is that like holding your breath underwater? How long can you go in the stand up? That's like my real question today, more so than if the Giants can win.
It's like a soccer announcer for a goal.
I've timed it. I could go a good minute. I could go. My face turns purple.
That's pretty good. A whole minute, man. That's pretty impressive. I can barely hold my breath like 20 seconds, man. That's crazy. But regardless, and I'm doing well. I'm hyped. Giants on a 4-game winning streak. Arizona's on a 3-game losing streak. So I'm excited for this game tomorrow. I'm doing a lot of film review. Looking at how the Giants can really take advantage of this Arizona team, and really just excited to get in with you guys and talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up the winning and losing streak. I posted today on Twitter when I was looking at the streaks. The Giants have the 3rd longest winning streak in football. Arizona, I think, has the 5th longest losing streak. So it's the tale of two, completely different directions. Arizona's coming in as cold as you could be. The Giants almost as hot as you could be. So hopefully we can continue to build off of what we did last week against the Seattle Seahawks. We're going to take it over to the Big Blue in the Bronx. He's got a YouTube channel as well. He's on Pizzle's channel all the time. I thank you for taking some time out of your night coming on and talking Giants football.
Thanks for having me on, Chris. I have a bet with my brother, actually, because he's a Jets fan. He has nothing better to do than watch them lose, but he doesn't believe we'll beat the Cardinals. I believe we will. The bet is he doesn't like soda, so he drinks either 2 cans of Pepsi if the Giants win. If the Giants lose, I get to eat sushi, and I don't like sushi. So run the football tomorrow. Next man up. If Blake Martinez or Holmes doesn't play, and it's gonna be really interesting to see what this team can do. Hopefully, extend the winning streak to about 5 games, and then we go on to Cleveland, which I'm happy with. Sunday Night Football, and then you have Baltimore and Dallas. So hopefully, road to another playoff berth.
1 week at a time, man. 1 week at a time, man. And
yes.
There's a big. I think it's our most winnable game outside of the Dallas game left on our schedule. We're at home. They're traveling across the country. They're coming in cold. Kyler Murray's a little banged up, and I think we match up well, and we're going to talk more about the matchup as we go along. Just going to read what Darnell had to say. He says, I'm back, Chris. How about that McCann signing, bro? Yeah, Darnell's a huge Met fan. I'm ecstatic about the signing, and hopefully we go out there, we sign Springer, and we bring in a couple of pitchers because we know that we need it. Bauer's definitely at the top of our list, so we'll see how it plays out, man. Darnell, man, glad that you're here. We're going to bring it over to, I forgot already. Is it Digi or Dig? I've watched your videos before. I always forget how to pronounce it.
Diggy546.
Diggy. What's going on, my man? Thanks for popping in, buddy.
Nothing much. I mean, we're on a 4-game winning streak, and the Cardinals on a 3-game losing streak. So, to me, I'm just hoping that we don't turn this into some kind of a trap game, which seems crazy because people were talking about us getting like the #1 pick a couple months ago. But I just hope this doesn't end up being a letdown with Daniel coming back, and it just seems like this is a game we should win. And I think if we just play like how we played last week, especially Kyler really isn't. He's faster. He's more physically superior at this point than Russ, but he's not the quarterback at all that Russ is. So I just think we got to play the same game that we played last week and don't underestimate them, really. It's like Metcalf is a freak at this point, and I think Hopkins is probably like 80% of the threat of Metcalf. They're different kinds of players, but as far as the big play, no one's scarier than Metcalf in the league. And I just hope this doesn't turn into a letdown. But for now, I think we're going to win this game pretty easily, actually.
I understand Giants fans going in cautiously optimistic because, we're not used to winning 4 straight. But I honestly believe going into this game, and I'm usually not overly optimistic. I picked us to lose last week against Seattle with Colt McCoy starting. Daniel Jones looks like he's going to play in this game. I think we match up well. I look at a team that really struggles against the run. They rank 21st in the league in terms of yards per carry against. I look at a team that's 26th in terms of time of possession. The Giants are only getting better in that area. And I look at a quarterback who's banged up with a shoulder injury with Kyler Murray And he doesn't look like he's been the same player. They should be 0-5 since the bye. They made a Hail Mary against Buffalo. If they don't hit that, they're 0-5 with losses against Miami. They lost the last 3 weeks prior to this one. They've given up a ton of points during the process. I think they've given up 30 points or more 3 out of the last 5, maybe 4 out of the last 5. I think the Giants are going to be able to move the ball. I think they're going to be able to control the clock. And if we limit turnovers, I think we're going to get out of here with a W. Let me just read what Cruzon has to say. We're not good enough to overlook any team. I completely agree with that. And first off, no team, Alex, is good enough to overlook anybody in the league any given Sunday. You saw last week, Oakland or Vegas now almost overlooked the New York Jets. They almost got a loss because of it. So we're not good enough to overlook anybody. But, Alex, I want to get your overall opinion going on into this game. What you're looking for, some of the strengths, some of the weaknesses to this Cardinal team.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Kyler, of course, like Didge said, is a fantastic quarterback, but he's not Russell Wilson, right? He's carrying a bad throwing shoulder into this game. He only has 61 rushing yards the past 3 games. They've lost all of them. So it says a lot about what they're doing with him right now. He's not running the ball. He doesn't want to take hits. And the Giants are going to do exactly what they did to Russell Wilson against Kyler, spy on him. And that's the whole goal. And we did a film breakdown this week with a bunch of different people, on a bunch of different people too, about Carter Coughlin and the secondary. Jabril Peppers, we actually worked with Jabril Peppers and Darnay Holmes' coach, private coach, to break down their film and see what they were doing.
It was very good. I watched it.
It's really cool. It's really cool to see what he has to say from a professional perspective. But with Carter Coughlin, when looking at him, he did a really good job for the Giants. And he has 4, 5, 7, 40-yard dash. The guy has elite speed for an outside linebacker and pass rusher. So when you're looking at a guy like Carter Coughlin who can really spy on the quarterback and get after guys like Russell Wilson quickly, you want to flush him out of the pocket. The entire goal for the Giants should be, we want to flush Kyler like they did Russ out of the pocket and have a guy like Carter Coughlin sitting there. And we saw him line up at the 0 technique, 1, 2, 3, even the 5 technique. He did some interesting things, especially in the 0 technique over the nose, in the nose tackle position over the center. And what he did was he pretty much pass rush that center, take him out of the play, and they would use big guys like Dalvin Tomlinson's to flush the guards and tackles outside of the tackle box. And then they would wrap Leonard Williams, a guy like Leonard Williams is actually in the 5 technique in that spot, wrap him inside into the A gap, and then flush Russell Wilson out. Carter Coughlin would drop back into spy coverage, and then he would basically say, okay, wherever he's going, I'm going to follow him because I'm the speed guy in this situation. And they used multiple spies throughout the game. They used Carter Coughlin, Logan Ryan, Jabril. They use Cam Brown, Blake Martinez, and basically Russell Wilson's sitting there saying, okay, who is rushing me right now? Who's spying on me right now? When you're changing it, sometimes there's multiple spies per play. You have no idea what's going on. And that was really what the Giants did. They tried to confuse Russell Wilson as much as possible. And if you can do it against a Hall of Fame quarterback, you can do it against Kyler Murray.
I completely agree. I think the New York Giants, like you just said, you hit it on the head. If we were able to confuse Russell Wilson, I think we could do a good job confusing Kyler Murray. They're similar quarterbacks. Murray's definitely more athletic. He's definitely more of a threat, I think, in the run game, even though Wilson is definitely a threat as well. Giants did a phenomenal job keeping him in the pocket. They didn't really let him get to the outside and beat us with his legs. I think the Giants will come out with a similar game plan. I think they'll draw up a similar strategy. You hit on Carter Coughlin. Carter Coughlin has been a godsend. You talked about it on Twitter today. The entire draft class has been phenomenal. They're all the linebackers that they drafted. You really saw it in that game, whether it be Carter Coughlin, Nico Lalos, even though he's not playing linebacker, he played phenomenal.
Active roster now.
Cam Brown has played very well. So I'm with you, man. We're getting great contributions from a position that everybody was worried about. I mean, after all the injuries that we sustained, but the Giants are finding a way to get it done. And I think a lot of it should be credited to Patrick Graham and the coaching staff.
I 100% agree.
JD, man, thank you so much, man. What's the biggest positional mismatch in this game? We're going to go to Big Blue in the Bronx for that one. What do you consider the biggest positional for the Giants, I suppose? What's the biggest positional mismatch?
Really, to be honest with you, I don't know how to answer that question. I do, but I don't. And I'm not going to act like I, watch film like Alex does or Anthony does, but definitely someone you want to target this game when you're passing the ball is Drake Kirkpatrick. Last couple of games, ever since he signed with them, he hasn't really been the greatest for them. And if you look at the stats for Patrick Peterson haven't been the best, but also someone you want to look out for is Budda Baker, who's a box safety. Look at his stats earlier. But positional mismatch, I'm probably I must say I sound like
let me bring it up to you. One thing I'm worried about in this game is if Martinez doesn't play. In the slot, potentially in the slot as well, Darnay Holmes. That to me, potentially, if those two players don't play, at least on the defense, is what I worry about the most. Obviously, you're going to bring in Devontae Downs. Maybe you have to shift Logan Ryan to the slot. Maybe you play Xavier McKinney in that spot, but there's unfamiliarity there. So at least my answer to that would be because of the injuries or potential injuries, that's what I would worry about the most on the defensive side. Personally, I'd worry about over the middle in the slot, things like that. This is a team that also throws a lot of short screen passes, Arizona. So I worry a little bit there if I'm the New York Giants on defense.
Yeah, definitely. Before I jumped in here to go on the stream, yeah, that's two things I did definitely bring up. You don't know who's going to go in the slot. I have full confidence in Patrick Graham to fully formulate a plan for that, because I feel like if James Bradbury, he locks up DeAndre Hopkins, they'll be looking for those second and third receivers like Fitzgerald and Christian Kirk. And, who's going to be in that slot? As I said, I have confidence, but you don't really have another corner on the roster that's like so experienced. Brandon Williams, he's a special teams guy. They just brought in Montre Hartage, who probably hasn't gotten a lot of defensive snaps, if any. And they also brought up Jaron Williams, who hasn't really gotten snaps anywhere because he hasn't been on the active roster. So you're probably going to either have to make a specific game plan to lend it down to the linebackers or the safeties, someone like Jabril Peppers or Logan Ryan.
Yeah, that's what I worry about the most on the offensive side. For me, I mean, to me, it's a simple game plan. You run the ball as much as you possibly can. I'm not too worried about offense. I think we're going to be able to run the ball kind of like we did against Seattle. And I think Daniel Jones will be given mismatches. I think he'll be given opportunities. Diz, I'm just going to read this real quick. He says, the Cardinals aren't a mystery. Do exactly what you did against the Seahawks. Metcalf is good, but he's not great yet. Bradbury can handle it. I completely agree with you. I think it's almost a carbon copy of last week's offense. Obviously, like I said, Murray's a little bit more athletic, and it's a different offense. They run an air raid scheme. It's going to be a lot of short passing plays. Seahawks, I think, take more shots down the field, but it's a similar skill set. Obviously, they have a premier wide receiver. It's going to be Bradbury's job. Let's talk about that a little bit. What do you think about Bradbury in this game? You think he's going to continue to do what he's been able to do against these top-tier wide receivers? How do you think he matches up against DeAndre Hopkins, arguably the best wide receiver in football?
I think he has his favorite type of matchup. He's played in the NFC South against Mike Evans, against Michael Thomas, and he's played against DeAndre Hopkins before too. And he always seems to do a really good job. I actually did a film session a couple of days ago on Metcalf versus Bradbury, and the routes that hurt him were those out routes because they were so scared of him running and getting over top of the defense. But I think he'll be able to be a lot more aggressive because he just doesn't have that same speed. So I think Bradbury will be able to do a really good job. I think he'll hold him probably under 50 yards.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what, though. The last 2 weeks, they haven't been able to throw the ball. And maybe some of that has to do with Murray's shoulder problem. He's only got 300 yards combined passing the last 2 weeks. So maybe you're right. Maybe we'll be able to hold him under 50 yards.
Yeah, the thing is, Kyler is such a threat in the run game, and he hasn't been running as much because he's scared he doesn't want to mess up his shoulder and be out. So if he can continue to not be a threat in the running game, that opens up things for the entire defense because they're not as worried about him taking off and exposing himself to hits.
No. To me, the thing I worry about most is Murray's legs. I think you kind of touched on that. That's what I worry about the most. Test Fighter says, how do you feel about Daniel Jones starting? All right, I'll start there. I mean, last week, Alex, McCoy did a pretty good job. McCoy stepped in. He didn't play great, but he was kind of what we expected. He limited mistakes. He made that one mistake on the throw, kind of went off Evan Ingram's hands. But with Daniel Jones, obviously, I think we have a lot more confidence with him coming into this game if he's 100% or at least even 90%. He's obviously more of a threat in the running game. And the thing, Alex, I guess that I worry about a little bit with Daniel Jones, I don't want him to revert back to what he was before these last 3 games. I want him to be able to continue to build off of what we saw the last 2 or 3 weeks, really 3 weeks, and continue to build off that because we saw a lot of progression, and it looked as if he was growing up and becoming a more mature quarterback. And there's really no excuses going into this game. Arizona's not a great defense. I think he should continue that. But I worry about that a little bit, being that he had a week off.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Colt McCoy, the main thing about him is he didn't lose the game for us, right? That's all we can hope from a guy like Colt McCoy. He's coming in, hasn't really played like active full time since 2014. So it's been a while for him, and he's coming in. He threw a bunch of balls in the dirt to Sterling Shepard. But his goal was don't turn the ball over. And that ball to Evan Ingram was really mostly his fault. He threw it to the back shoulder, should have threw it in front of him. But again, Evan Ingram is that polarizing player that could drop a ball and turn it into a turnover and then make a one-handed catch in the end zone. So, that's just Evan Ingram to a T. But when it comes to Daniel Jones this week, I think he's about 80 to 85%. I don't think he's at 100%, and that's going to limit what he does. And the Giants have to be careful. It's going to be cold. It's going to be damp. There's supposed to be a nor'easter on Wednesday, so or rather tomorrow. It's going to be tough for him to run the ball effectively. So I think that they're going to be really asking him, stay in the pocket. We're going to commit to the run. The Giants have 4 consecutive games with 140 plus rushing yards. And think about this. Seattle was a top 5 run defense, and Arizona ranks 22nd yards allowed per game on the ground. So you're looking at a team that is far less than Seattle, and this is a good matchup for the Giants, right? Because we have a good running game, and it's kind of interesting. Without Saquon Barkley, we're still dominating in that category, and our offensive line is stepping up with multiple rookies. Andrew Thomas is playing lights out in the run game. Matt Parrott will be back, and Cam Fleming had one of his best games as a Giant this past week. So I'm pretty excited. Wayne Gallman's been phenomenal for us. We all love him. I mean, his north and south running, his ability to fall forward, that 60-yard run. He doesn't do that very often, but when he does it, it shows not only how good he is, but how well the offensive line is playing. And, I think that's where they go. They say to Daniel Jones, stand in the pocket, act as a pocket passer this game, because you're a better thrower. You're a better quarterback than Colt McCoy. That's the entire argument here is, who do you want sitting in the pocket throwing the ball, Colt McCoy or Daniel Jones? It's going to be DJ every day of the week. As long as he can, drive off his back foot, which is, his throwing foot, his right foot, his back foot. As long as he can put power behind it, get those deep balls, I think it's going to be really, really, intermediate passing game. And Wayne Gallman is going to be the guy that's really fueling the fire here. They're going to expect him to waste the clock out, and that's the number one category every week for me. Well, there's 2 turnovers. You got to win the turnover battle, and the second one is time of possession. Because the time of possession helps you in multiple ways. One, it keeps your offense on the field, and 2, it keeps your defense off the field. And that's the main goal for the Giants. Keep your defense off the field, and let them rest. Because when the fourth quarter comes around, this game's close. You're gonna want to have that defense well rested.
You sound just like me. I love it. That's what I always harp on is the time of possession, the turnovers, and we've been great in both of those areas as of late. Right now we're 19th in the league at time of possession, but the first 4 weeks we were near dead last. So we've seen a dramatic improvement there. And in terms of turnover differential, we in the last 4 games during this winning streak, we've created 10. We've only turned it over twice. We're plus 8. Mm-hmm. Last year for the year we were minus 17. This year I think we're plus 3 or plus 4. So there's been a dramatic improvement in that category. That's why we've been competitive in pretty much every game we've played this year, and why we've had opportunities to win each of the last 8 games or so. So I'm completely with you on that. The Giants have gotten much better in that area. Aiden says, how do you feel about Hopkins over Bradbury? Yeah, we kind of answered that earlier, Aiden. But listen, man, Bradbury's gone up against some of the best wide receivers the league has to offer. He went up against DK Metcalf last week, and he held him. He held him in check. I know Metcalf had about 80 yards. Now, he's not going to spy him, right? Because last week we saw that they haven't done that all year. Bradbury's not going to stick to one wide receiver, but I think he's going to do the job. I think he'll be matched on him mainly, and I think he'll do the job. I don't think he's going to get embarrassed. I think he'll keep every play in front of him. The Giants haven't gotten cooked for big plays this year. It's going to come down to spying Murray. The other thing that I want to bring up, Big Blue in the Bronx, about this team that I worry about a little bit when I looked into the numbers, Arizona has the best red zone offense in all of football. They score 76% of the time when they get inside the 20-yard line, which is a huge number. The Giants, to the contrary, are one of the worst. They're 49% of the time. They've struggled mightily in that category, specifically in the first 5-6 weeks when we weren't winning football games, when we couldn't really get that ground game established. That's what I really worry about in this game. They're really good inside that 20.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Definitely.
I mean, the Giant. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I wasn't sure who it was.
I'll let you go first. I'll you go first.
Okay. Actually, before I'll let you take care of that, but I just wanted to put my 2 cents in on the James Bradbury and DK Metcalf thing, because I watched a ton of film on them this past week, and I feel like I have some good insight there. You mentioned the out route stage, and the out routes, they wanted to give them that, because the idea is if you don't let DK hit you on the 9 routes, those go routes down the field, you can contain the Seattle offense. Give them those out routes, make Russell Wilson throw into those tight throwing lanes, because like Kyler Murray and just like Russell Wilson, they're small quarterbacks. They need throwing lanes, because if you put guys in their face, they can't see in front of them. They can't see in front of those big guys. Russell Wilson can make those throws because he's a Hall of Fame guy. He knows where his guy's going to be. A lot of timing routes. But Kyler's young, man. He's not there just yet. And I think that when it comes to the Bradbury and DK Metcalf, they were giving him those out routes in the second half, because they were like, as long as you don't beat us deep, we can make sure you guys don't score. If you don't beat us deep, you won't score. That's the entire thing. DeAndre Hopkins is a different animal. He is one of the best route running guys you will ever see. And he's amazing on slants, amazing on digs, amazing on everything. He's just not a speed guy. You won't see him very often burn somebody downfield, but he's amazing with the back shoulders. And that's the problem. We're going to see a lot of very close man coverage with Bradbury. He's going to be on his hip, the trail technique the entire game, because ultimately you can't play off-ball zone against Hopkins. That's not going to be. So you're going to see an entirely different technique from Bradbury this week against Hopkins.
Great stuff. Let's jump into the defense, though, in terms of I get the red zone specifically, but anything else you want to add to it. But I worry about the red zone in this game being how strong they've been in that area. A lot of it goes to Murray's running ability, I'm sure, and the fact that they've been able to run the ball. But how do you think the New York Giants are able to tighten up in the red zone, and do you worry about that against this football team?
I do worry about that, but I also, again, I'm confident in Patrick Graham. I think just flushing out Kyler Murray out of the pocket, I think you need to knock him down because, last year and all the other teams saw this. It's not about just pressuring the hell out of him, blitzing the hell out of him. Giants only got to him once last year, and that was only because he was fluttering around, and I think he tripped over, and then they finally got.
Oh, you're breaking up.
Makes throws.
There, you're good.
All right. He makes throws on the run. That's one of the throws he made on that Hail Mary. He was being pressured. He turns out he throws it to Hopkins. It's a touch he can do. With red zone defense, you got to be there like you were all season. The first drive for Seattle last week, they ran down the field, a couple of good plays, and then they stopped them and only held them to a field goal. So I'm not that specifically worried about it, but you could look for maybe more. As I said, I don't watch film. I would have to look up the stats, but look for just overall defense, read options, running plays. I believe they're one of the best running offenses in the NFL. And also look for them to target probably the number 2 or the slot cornerback.
Yeah, they are. I think they and they're definitely going to target the slot. They're going to target the middle of the field, especially if these guys are out. But and it's going to be a lot of short screens. They actually average 5 yards a carry, which is near the tops in the league. But a lot of that has to do with Murray. The running backs don't really scare me. It's more Murray's running ability. But, yeah, I expect to see a lot of read option once they get into the red zone, and that's probably why they've been as effective as they have been. Last year, they weren't that effective in that area, but this year they've seen a dramatic increase. I think the addition of Hopkins obviously certainly helped. Stephen Lilly from across the pond, he says, I just want Murray to say hello. Wow, you're big Dex. Oof. What's going on, Stephen Lilly, man? Thanks for popping in the stream. And Dimitri says, let's get this W, Giants Nation. Just want to see if we got any questions that I'll be able to pull up here that we could feed off of. Sunny Ann says, you're the man, Chris. Slay seems hurt. Can expand Mac. Oh, Austin Mack, you're talking about in terms of Darius Slayton. It's a good question. All right, let's talk about that. The usage of Darius Slayton the last 2 weeks. Slayton, of course, on that big play, the big passing attempt, I think it was 2 weeks ago, a lot of people said he came up limping. And really since then, the Giants haven't really used him that much in the offense. Now, what I'll say to that, though, if we're being fair, last week, Colt McCoy was your quarterback. I didn't – and what is Slayton good at? Slayton's good at the deep ball. I don't think that was in the game plan to throw the deep ball that much. So I don't read too much into last week. I think Slayton will be involved in this game if they have the opportunity to throw the football. But do you worry about him at all? I keep forgetting. Dig.
Yeah, Diggy.
Diggy.
Yeah, one thing about Slayton, he's definitely banged up. He's actually proven a lot to me because he's been fighting through these injuries, and he's really the decoy. He's the only consistent deep threat we have. And one thing he did last week, even in that small game, he came up with that clutch third down catch to pretty much help seal out the game. So he's definitely a gamer. I think he just needs that Batman type of receiver to be across from him, and he's going to be. It'll be kind of like the Minnesota Vikings kind of Diggs and Thielen. I think he can really thrive if he has someone across from him.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. That, to me, is one of the biggest offseason needs for this team. You have to get a number 1 wide receiver. You're going to put Slayton in the spot that he needs. As far as his question about Mack, I don't think we're going to expand with Mack. I think the Giants are going to go with what they've got. Shepard's played actually really well last couple of weeks, even though the stats may not indicate it. I think Shepard's doing the job. Golden Tate's obviously going to stay in the lineup. I mean, obviously, if Slayton's hurt and can't play, yeah, but I think it's more to do with last week that you had Colt McCoy in there and it kind of limited the offense, at least in my opinion. Last week, I think he was definitely more limited the week before.
And then to add something on top of that, one thing that they've done with Austin Mack is use him as a blocker. And then Sterling Shepard on the other side is one of the better blocking receivers in the league. So that's something we also have to be aware of as far as like Mack on the field, Shepard on the field. A lot of the big running plays down the field, especially when Saquon was here, you see Sterling Shepard 30 yards down the field throwing a block. Mack last week was instrumental on that Wayne Gallman run too. So that's something to definitely pay attention about with Austin Mack.
Great point. Joshua says, if Holmes is out, I think that Logan will play the slot and McKinney will start at safety. No, let me just get through a couple of these. I want to talk about that with Alex, though, because I don't want to lose these. Jake says the Cards are very overrated, in my opinion. They've missed a Hail Mary. They're a missed Hail Mary away from being 5-7. It also seems like Kyler has been playing through an injury lately. I completely agree with that. I've been saying that consistently on my channel all year. I'm not a huge believer in the Cardinals, but I want to talk about that with you, Alex, is the if Darnay Holmes is forced to miss this game, what do you think they do? Do you think they move Logan Ryan to the slot and play McKinney at the safety, or do you think they play McKinney at the slot and leave Logan Ryan in kind of the role that he's been in?
So it's actually a really good question, because this is something that Patrick Graham is going to try to, diversify it and use multiples to essentially create confusion for the offense. And I think that they'll probably rotate guys there. I don't think they'll have a specific guy playing slot cornerback. And Darnay Holmes has been a stud the past couple of weeks, an absolute stud. I loved watching his film this past week. He completely shut down Tyler Lockett, a guy who put up 3 touchdowns and over 200 yards against Arizona earlier this year. And Brian, the guy we work with who trains Darnay Holmes, even said he's doing everything right. And he's a pro's pro. The guy is respectful. Yes, ma'am, like hello, sir type of guy. Like he's very respectful, really, really good kid. And I love Darnay Holmes this season and what he's done. But if he misses this game, it's going to be a huge blow for this defense. No way other than looking at it like that. I think that they look at McKinney mostly to really fill that role, because Logan Ryan can play slot. But the reason he didn't get signed as a cornerback for big money this past offseason was because his foot speed and his agility right now is not cornerback level, right? He's really making the amazing transition to safety. And Patrick Graham has asked him to do exactly this. He wants Logan Ryan to drop back into coverage, play, really, really cover 2 in these one-man up top, just really analyzing the game in front of him. And if you see this very often, you'll see something like this. You'll see his body parallel to the sidelines. And this is essentially to help confuse the quarterback, because he's inching up closer to the line of scrimmage. He's dropping back. He's doing all these different things to really get guys like Russell Wilson to figure out, what is he doing? Is he going to blitz right now, or is he going to drop back into coverage? And I think Patrick Graham is actually giving him the autonomy to decide, I want to blitz now. I'm going to drop back and communicate with his cornerbacks and his defensive backs to really help them along the way. Because young guys like Darnay Holmes, and even what's his name, when Ryan Lewis was there, they really needed that veteran leadership, to help them get adjusted to this NFL level. And Isaac Yiadom as well is another guy who's been looking really well. And I think Logan Ryan plays a really big part of that, playing in the middle of the defense. Is kind of like the quarterback of the secondary, right? He's done a fantastic job, and I don't want him moving into the slot, because it takes away what he's doing in the middle of the field and really being that quarterback of the defense back there. So I think they take McKinney. They say, okay, McKinney has played slot in the past with Alabama. He's played multiple positions, and I think that's a guy you look at and say, okay, we'll put him there and hope for the best, and we'll maneuver guys, to and fro from that position and really find ways to confuse Kyler Murray. And again, they're getting Larry Fitzgerald back this week, and he's looked good in practice, and he comes out of the slot a lot. And Christian Kirk as well. So it's going to be tough, man. This is not going to be an easy matchup for a secondary who's been playing well, but Darnay Holmes has been a big part of that.
Yeah, Darnay Holmes the last couple of weeks has been phenomenal. Last week in particular, he had his best game, I thought, and that could be a big hurt for us. And I tend to agree with you. I think they'll probably play McKinney maybe in that slot role. Who knows? Maybe they play Love in the slot role. Who knows? But they're going to have to find a way to get that done. Hopefully Holmes plays. He's been a big part of this defense, but the fact that he didn't practice this, I think it was yesterday, does scare me into the fact that he may not be playing on Sunday. Samuel says, I think Danny needs one more week. Maybe I'm too careful, but you can't rush your franchise quarterback. And I think Colt could handle this team. Before I get more into that, I want to make sure I did post their links just now, but make sure you subscribe to all 3 of these gentlemen's channels. We've got obviously Fireside Giants with Alex. His partner is going to be coming on in a second, Anthony. Of course, we got Big Bill in the Bronx, and we've got Digi.
Diggy 546.
Diggy 546. So please subscribe to all 3 of these gentlemen's channels. I want to say thank you guys for coming on. Samuel Weber, man, thank you very much, man. I think Danny needs one more week. Oh, I already read that. Okay, here's my thoughts on that. You can't rush him back. And if the Giants felt like he wasn't close to 100%, I don't think he'd be playing in this game. We saw the game film. It looked like he was ready to go. It's a soft tissue injury. You don't want to re-aggravate that. And if he re-aggravates that injury in this game, which hopefully he doesn't, Joe Judge is going to be questioned heavily. Last year, Saquon Barkley came out and said that he was not prepared to come back and play last year when, ironically enough, it was against Arizona. And you saw him kind of struggle the next 4 or 5 weeks because of it. So I agree with you. If he's not close to 100%, I don't think he should be playing in this game. I would think he's close enough to where they feel like he's not going to re-aggravate this injury and he's going to be ready to go. That's my opinion, and I hope that's exactly what they're doing. But I guess we'll see tomorrow. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Andrew, man, thank you very much. He says, Red Hoodie has acted. Yes, listen, Giants don't lose when I wear the red hoodie. Now, let me ask you guys this on the panel. We'll start with Alex. We'll go around. Do you guys have any, like, superstition when you watch a New York Giants game, like something that you do each and every week? Do you eat the same thing for breakfast? Do you have the same whatever? Do you wear the same underwear? Whatever.
Wow. I mean, that's a really good question. Usually I've been rocking the Saquon Color Rush jersey. It's done me well the past couple of weeks, but usually it's just it's the night before prayers that do it for me.
Absolutely. What about you, Big Blue in the Bronx?
I'm going to bring up a disgusting story, and it's not too disgusting, but for the last couple of weeks, I haven't gotten a haircut, and it's growing really long under this hat. But that seems to be my superstition. I haven't cut it until the Giants lose. Don't plan on cutting it. Also to note, like when the Falcons game was going on in 2018, I cut all my nails, but I had this one long one, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe this saves me. And the Giants, no, they lost, and I say, you know what? I'm cutting this. It seems disgusting, but it also seems weird at the same time. It's all in your head with a superstition, but it also gives you something to do.
If it works, you got to keep going with it. That's why I haven't taken this hoodie off in 2 months. I smell horrible. Dick, go ahead, man. What's your superstition?
Yeah, my superstition is kind of like the opposite of yours. I have this Eli, like not an actual jersey. It's like like those shirt jerseys that they make. Yeah. I have this Eli Manning one, and every time I get excited after a win and I put that jersey on, the next game we lose. So I haven't touched that in I haven't touched it the entire season since week 1 when I was pumped up about the Steelers game. So that's pretty much my superstition. It's bad luck.
So you don't wear a certain.
I don't wear it, yeah,
because it has bad luck. So you're still superstitious. You're just like
exactly.
You said,
other way around.
You're the other way around. All right, yeah. Let's start with Big Blue in the Bronx on this one. He says if the Giants get the 15th pick, I'm not even going to go with a specific pick, and I don't even like talking draft because right now I'm thinking playoffs. But we'll entertain it. Well, I want to get everybody's thoughts on this, but we'll start with Big Blue in the Bronx. Just give me right now today the biggest need for this New York Giants football team in the draft.
Well, I'm going to mention something about Daniel Jones a little bit after this about him playing and whatnot. But as Dave always says, you got to pick the best player possible. Something tells me that they're not as high on edge rusher as all of us fans seem to be.
I agree
with the way the scheme works out right now, I don't think that they'll be prioritizing it. Maybe they take, an edge rusher, a linebacker late rounds. Yeah, maybe. It kind of seems maybe the same thing with the cornerback position because Yiadom has gotten really he's improved the last couple of weeks.
He's played well.
Definitely. And am I saying Yiadom's that number 2 corner? Absolutely not. But they might go out there and maybe draft somebody in the late rounds, or maybe they stick to somebody. I don't know. I'm definitely, in my opinion, I would say wide receiver because my philosophy, the way I go about it this offseason, I don't know what the cap situation is because I haven't been focusing on it.
Right now, it's about 22 million, but then you're going to make cuts. Say you have about 50 million.
Settle your in-house stuff first. Cut Golden Tate, cut this guy, cut that guy. Sign Leonard Williams back. Sign Dalvin Tomlinson if you have the money. Then, with whatever money, see what you got in free agency or even save it for the draft. That's my philosophy and how we go about it because free agency has not worked in the past, except for this year, has not worked in the past in either regime in different cases. So definitely you want to finish the build. You really do, especially going in next year when we're expected to compete.
Yeah, well, I'm completely with you on that. So you're right now today, you're leaning, depending on what they do in free agency, but if there were no free agency, you would be leaning wide receiver right now in the first
Yes.
round. Okay. Let's go over to Days. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm definitely looking for some kind of a playmaker. I'm not necessarily limited to wide receiver. I definitely would like Kyle Pitts or that tight end out of Penn State, just because the Giants offense doesn't have anyone. Evan Ingram, I think, is the tallest person on our offense, and he's like 6'3", and he doesn't really play like the big, intimidating receiver. So adding Kyle Pitts, or I'm not necessarily looking at people like Jalen Waddle. I'm more interested in the big body kind of receiver that can make those plays that, you see quarterbacks miss throws high all the time in this league, and then you see receivers making those plays for him. And if DJ does that, it's intercepted, it's cooked. So I'm looking for someone to be able to come in. When's the last time we had a 6'6" guy in here? I mean, Larry Darnell.
Plaxico Burress. I mean, in terms of a guy that you could really depend on.
Yeah, Larry Darnell, 6'7", so
yeah.
But he wasn't all that good, so.
Yeah, so basically, we're going to get to Alex in a second, but basically from what I gather from you two is your primary goal, if you're the GM this offseason, is to do everything you can to continue to help Daniel Jones.
Definitely.
Yeah. Alex, go ahead, my man.
All right. Well, I think that, outside linebackers is a position that is weak for us, but I don't think it's one we should address with the first round pick, really. Because look what Patrick Graham has gotten out of guys, like Carter Coughlin, Cam Brown, these late round draft picks. What he's gotten out of them is simply genius, right? If you have a guy like Patrick Graham there, you don't need to invest big money in an outside linebacker. Look what Jabal Sher has brought, the physicality he brings in the run game and the veteran leadership. You don't need to invest in an outside linebacker position. Our defense is a top 10, top 5 unit right now. And I'm thinking, okay, don't allocate, assets to a unit that's already playing so well. I think wide receiver is the way to go. I don't think you want to spend big money, especially because we need to re-sign Dexter Lawrence. The guy's already 8.5 sacks, already broke his personal record. He's completely going. I think, you go for a wide receiver with the first, when you're first round pick, simply because you need to give Daniel Jones weapons. Golden Tate's going to be gone. I mean, you have Austin Mack, but he's a better run blocker and physical guy. I don't think he's like he's like an average player. I think he's a good depth guy, fourth, fifth wide receiver. Sterling Shepard, obviously, I think he's our best red zone threat. And here's the thing about the red zone. A lot of people will make this argument that, Daniel Jones isn't throwing touchdown passes, right? They're saying, he gets some yards, he does this, he's running the ball, but he doesn't get touchdown passes. Where are those? And I say to them exactly this. Wayne Gallman, in the last 6 games, he has 6 touchdowns, right? 6 touchdowns for Wayne Gallman. All 6 of them have been inside the opponent's 5-yard line, right?
Well, not to mention, Morse even got 2 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. One was in the air, but they got 2 touchdowns.
Exactly, and they were both inside the opponent's 10-yard line, 5-yard line. So my question is for you is, if you ask him that question, what does it matter that Daniel Jones isn't throwing touchdown passes? He's doing all the hard work, getting them into the red zone, and basically just letting his running back run it right in. So I think, you get a big body, like Dig has mentioned. I think you go for a guy like that, because I think Sterling Shepard is a fantastic route runner, and then you have Darius Slayton as your 9 route. Your guy that just goes deep. That's that deep post route, deep slants and crossers. You need another guy like a CeeDee Lamb or a Jerry Jeudy who just has elite route running that you can pair with the guys like Sterling Shepard in the slot, and then the guys like Darius Slayton outside. But with that being said, Sterling Shepard is a fantastic route run on the outside. I actually spoke with David Robertson, who trains with Sterling Shepard, and he actually is a main source for general managers around the NFL. They call him to say, who on the waiver wire, who on the wire should we pick up right now? Who in the draft should we be looking at? And he told us, Sterling Shepard's actually a better outside receiver than he is an inside slot guy, which I was really surprised to hear. And, we've been seeing a lot of that lately, with Shepard and Tate kind of rotating a slot and outside. So I would actually like to see them maybe go after a guy who can play both slot and the outside, maybe just an elite route runner that has the ability. You watch DeAndre Hopkins go into the slot. You watch some of these elite guys do that, and they can move around the field. I'd like to see a diverse wide receiver who you can put in different positions and make things happen, with their diversity.
Yeah, I'm going to get to that in 1 second. I just don't make sure I don't lose any of these. Sox Arizona, man, thanks for the super sticker, little fist bump. Thank you very much. Zach Phillips says Hopkins is going to play, and he is hurt less. Listen, Hopkins on the injury report every week. He's going to play. Rich Terminator says, when Kyler run, he doesn't secure the ball. Look at the film. Well, we're going to have opportunities, hopefully, to punch it out. But yeah, I'm kind of with you guys. I've been talking about cornerback for a while in the first round. It's because I think we definitely need a really strong corner. in this defense, especially when you want to blitz, you want to play a lot of man cover press. But Yadam's played pretty well the last 4 weeks. Maybe that kind of eases me off to the second or third round for a corner. I definitely think we need a playmaker. And it's kind of very hard for me to answer draft questions right now because I don't know where we're going to be picking. And I don't know what our roster is going to look like after free agency. But if you ask me right now, wide receiver, corner, I think those are our two biggest needs. We could definitely use a playmaker at the edge rusher position. But I think our scheme generates pressure. We've got 30 sacks this year. We lead the league in knockdown percentage. I don't think the Giants, much like the Patriots over the course of history, are going to prioritize a supreme pass rusher. I could be wrong, but that's my opinion. I think they're going to try to create pressure through scheme and coverage. John Williams says, will Arizona have an advantage because of what Marcus Golden knows? That's something that a lot of people have brought up to me. Let's start with Big Blue in the Bronx with that. Do you worry about that at all in terms of Marcus Golden's, I guess, knowledge and playing against some of these guys that practice on the offensive line?
I think the Giants are smarter to get past that and not stick with the basic stuff he knows. I'm not really even apparently this week, Marcus Golden said he didn't feed any of the Giants of what he knows to the Cardinals. I don't believe that, and I really don't care about that either because I think the Giants are smarter than that. A lot of people brought up this, and I think Cop Pizzle mainly sticks to it as well. Marcus Golden was good on a bad team. I like the guy, but I just don't think he's your Chandler Jones. They'll be utilizing him in some fashion because Chandler Jones is out. But I just don't think that, he's going to be, he's going to come off the edge. It's not someone who you're going to game plan against. Sure, you could look for him. They're not going to double team him. But again, I don't think he's anyone that specifically you have to game plan against. Yeah, he's a rusher, but still, block him and do that stuff. And going back to Alex's point, which is going to lead me into a little bit of something, that's for people who are asking that question that look at just the stats. If you look against the Eagles, the deep ball to Shepard, deep ball to Tate, deep ball to Slayton. Those were big plays downfield. Who scored the touchdowns? Wayne Gallman. He's good for that. That's why I like Wayne Gallman. I really think we should bring him back. And also to go ahead to another point, I don't think Giants fans should really be upset if we don't take too many deep shots because Daniel Jones is not 100%. And I think we all know that, even though they're not telling us that. They'll probably stick to some sort of conservative play calling. They won't go deep. They won't do anything special. They probably won't even run with him if they do. So I'm just, throwing it out there for anyone not to get mad about.
Love it. Let me just read this before I lose it. Lucas says, I could start to smell that red hoodie down here from Australia. Your poor neighbors. And so I says, I just want to sleep. I just want to sleep and wake up at 12:45. You and me both. I think every Giants fan, I said it on Twitter this week, your team's starting to get good when it feels like a month in between games. LA Lou says, for Breeze it is, Chris, open a window. Thank you guys so much, man, for all the support. And Chizola says, Shepard also got the best hands on our team. Shepard's been great the last couple weeks. He's played really well. And Trevor Lawrence, be a Jet, says, you be on Twitter going crazy. We coming next year. I think the Jets are going to be good next year. I think you guys have a lot of talent. Not a lot of talent yet, rather. You're going to get a lot of talent with a lot of the first-round picks that you guys gathered. I think you guys are on the upswing. It all depends on the coach that you bring in. You're going to have a great quarterback with Trevor Lawrence, and you've got like 2 future first-round picks by that trade for Jamal Adams. So as crazy as it sounds, I actually think the Jets are headed in the right direction, but it's all going to depend on the coach that you bring in. But yeah, man, I agree with a lot of the points that you just brought up. And I think they should come out with a conservative game plan. I know like Giants fans don't want to hear that. They want Daniel Jones to go out there and sling the ball 40 times. They want him to throw for 350 yards because he was the 6th overall pick. I get it. They want the quarterback to carry the team. But right now, and I said it going into the year, guys, I said this going into the year, for this team to win games, the way that it's constructed, like Alex said earlier, what he pointed to, time of possession, getting off the field on third down, that's how this team's going to win. They're going to win dirty. They're going to win ugly. And I think they found that identity. And it's not beneficial, in my opinion, for us to go out there and sling the ball 35, 40 times. Do you need to take shots once you develop the run? Absolutely. Once that defense starts to creep up. But I think we need to be a run-first approach, or at least a balanced offense. That may change as Daniel Jones progresses throughout his career and this roster around him gets better. But you look at Eli Manning early on in his career. It was the same thing. We were a run-first team his first 2-3 years in the league. Tiki Barber led the league in rushing. And then he developed as a quarterback. We got pieces around him, and we opened up the offense a bit. But I think that's the way this offense should be built. And I think that's why we've been winning the games. But you got anything to add to that, my man? Dig?
I mean, I'm definitely an old school football kind of guy. Like, you run the ball. Like, the object is to run the ball. The only reason the teams pass is to catch the other team off guard. If you could run the ball every play and not worry about interceptions, not worry about tip passes, you can do it. Like, I think that drive that Morris caught that touchdown pass, we ran it like 4 times in a row all the way down the field. And I'm okay with doing that every play. If Daniel Jones has 15 yards and we have 350 yards rushing and 5 touchdowns, like, I don't care where the stats come from. You run the ball until they show you can
sound
stop
like you
it.
care about one stat. You care about this
The
stat.
W, yeah.
That's it.
Exactly.
That's it. And I'm with you, man. I'm an old school guy myself. I definitely, want Jones to mature and be able to sling the rock like Eli did, once as he matured throughout his career. We got Alex's partner here now. I can't wait to pull in Anthony. Let me just read Richard Romanoff. He says, Giants play hard. Giant play hard. Team coming. Just win. Richard, play hard, win. Don't turn the football over. Play fundamentally sound. That's the name of the game. Thank you for coming on, man. What's going on, Anthony, man? How you been?
I'm good, Chris. How you doing?
I'm good, man. You went to Disney with your family today, you said?
Yeah, I did. I was at Epcot doing the food and wine festival. I had a lot of really delicious food. They had the best was this turkey stuffing waffle with gravy on it. It sounds kind of bizarre, but it was pretty delicious. I'm not gonna lie.
It sounds amazing. Since you just popped in, I want to get your take on this game coming in. Give me your overall outlook on Arizona, both on offense and defense, and some of the things you're looking for in this game from the New York Giants.
Yeah, I think offensively with Arizona, you're looking at a really fast-paced, up-tempo, and high-flying offense. Kyler Murray is obviously the star of the show, and he's the number one guy you got to key in on at all times. But defensively, then you have Budda Baker, who you have to key in on. And then, of course, Patrick Peterson's still a pretty solid veteran. So they got a good secondary. I think the philosophy should be the same that it was last week. Just play a lot of QB spies defensively and contains and really just keep Kyler Murray in the pocket and blitz him and force him to make difficult throws and then pound the rock on offense, especially with Daniel Jones. He is, coming off of this injury. So I think just rock running the ball and controlling the time of possession, I think that's the way to win against the Cardinals.
Keep doing what we've been doing.
Exactly.
7 straight weeks of over 100 yards on the ground. Keep doing what you've been doing. You didn't change it with McCoy. Don't change it when you get back to Daniel Jones. I want to talk a little bit about special teams, Alex. That's something that going into the year that I think we all just had penciled in as a gimme. Like, they're going to be great. Like, we have a great special teams coach. You bring in Joe Judge. He was a great special teams coach with the Patriots. We were really good in that area in 2019. It's kind of lacked the last couple of weeks. We were horrible in that area against the Bengals. And then this past week, we gave up the block punt. You worry about that a little bit going forward, Alex, or you think it's just a tool?
Oh, man, that's a really good question because earlier this year, the special teams look great. They look fine. And then you look at, last week, I would love to be a fly on the wall when Joe Judge spoke to that special teams unit after last week and the week before his performance because it was bad. Like, Two special teams penalties, right? And then you have a safety. And the week before that, you have a couple penalties, and then you have the return for a touchdown. Basically in the first quarter, right after the Giants came out and scored right away, they gave up a kick return for a touchdown. That's unacceptable. You as a special teams coach that Joe Judge is, and they have a good one in McCowney, but the problem for me is like this unit is not playing how they are supposed to and how they're used to. So I think this is really the last 2 weeks have been an anomaly. For the special teams. I think they're going to bounce back just fine. I think Joe Judge is going to tighten things up, iron out the problems, and I'm pretty confident that they're going to go back to playing great football like they were earlier this year. Because right now, and last week specifically, there's only one phase of the Giants that's really playing at elite level, and it's the defense. Right? The Giants managed to beat a winning team in Seattle who averaged over 30 points per game going into this contest. They held them to really 10 minus the safety, or 12 minus the safety. So it was really just 10 points, and it was only because of that defense and the running game really. So. The offense, I consider every phase of the game. So I consider there to be 3 phases, special teams, offense, and defense. And the defense is really holding them together right now. But if they can perfect that special teams and get them up to where they should be performing at that high enough level, I think the Giants are going to be high flying. And once that offense comes together, it's going to be really tough to stop them. Maybe it all comes together for the postseason. That's what we're hoping.
Yeah, and I think these next 2 weeks, I think you could probably still get by if you're not hitting on all cylinders tomorrow. If you want to beat Cleveland the way they've looked the last 4 or 5 weeks, albeit against some weaker opponents, Giants got to be pretty sound. I don't think that you could give a B minus effort and beat Cleveland or even the Ravens going forward. Giants got to tidy that up real quick. And hopefully they do. I think they will. I think it's kind of been, like you said, a one-off. I expect them to tidy that up. The offense, we'll see. We'll see how Daniel Jones responds coming off the injury. That's the major question mark. The defense at this point, I don't have many questions there. Like every week, I'm kind of like, up until last week, I'm kind of all right. We didn't expect big things going into the year. Maybe they're just finding ways to do it against weaker opponents. The last 2 weeks, I mean, they really only gave up 7 points to Cincinnati. They gave up a kick return. They gave up a field goal kind of off the fumble recovery off of Evan Ingram's fumble where they had it at midfield. And this week, they only gave up 10 points to arguably the best offense in football. So the defense on board in. I think they're going to give us a great effort week in and week out, regardless of the opponent that we play. There's really not many offenses that scare me with our defense. It's going to come down to the offense. It's going to come down to converting on third downs, and special teams has to do the job. But one guy I want to give a lot of credit to, though, is Graham Gano. Graham Gano, even though he missed an extra point this past week, Graham Gano has been a godsend for the New York Giants. I want to go over to Dig, and now that I brought up Graham Gano, I kind of wanted to talk about the offseason because I don't think I've ever gotten your opinion on Gettleman in the offseason. We could talk about Joe Judge for hours. We'll bring him up as well. But what did you think of the job that your general manager did this offseason with the New York Giants?
I'll say that, I'll admit when I'm wrong. I made a video about the Martinez signing, and I did not like it at all. I thought that he would be horrible in coverage, and he's not the best coverage linebacker, but Patrick Graham knows how to use him, and he doesn't put him in isolated coverage situations because we're so used to seeing our defensive coordinators not knowing how to use the players that we sign. And so far, I can't complain. I was definitely someone early in the season wanting Gettleman to be gone, but just seeing we can't ask for Gettleman to be gone and then like most of the players that are on the team. So I feel that we have to give him another year at least to just watch how everything goes. I think at this point it's really about Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley and how their careers end up turning out when they get to their contract years, and are you going to pay them? I think that's really all Gettleman has to be worried about. But as far as the roster, as far as the trenches, we were mad about the offensive line earlier this season. We're not mad anymore. We have 2 starting level tackles. A lot of people think that Matt Parrott is going to be able to start for us next year. So I'm satisfied. I can't complain. It's really just wait and see for the quarterback and the running back.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm not fully bought into Jones being an elite quarterback or anything like that, but his mission statement was the offensive line. The last 5 weeks, we've definitely seen that grow a lot. And I think it's one of the best units in football right now, the way they've been playing the last 4 or 5 weeks. Hopefully they continue to do that. And the defensive lines have been phenomenal. That's the strength of our defense. Tudo says, as always, Dr. Tana says, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Good to see all my favorite Giants content creators, Anthony Alex. That is my philosophy when it comes to the New York Giants. It's about patience, and right now it's working. Whether it's Gettleman, whether it's Judge, whatever it is. You brought up the coaching staff, and a lot of people have brought up this point, and I agree with it. Maybe all along it was the coaching staff, it wasn't the GM. Maybe Gettleman was bringing in sound, fun, good football players, but they had such a bad coaching staff that they weren't getting the most out of the players that he was bringing in. You look at this coaching staff, the job that they've done, and we'll go to Anthony here. What do you think of this coaching staff overall? I know you're wearing a Joe Judge jersey, but just overall, like, how encouraged are you with this entire staff? And are you a little bit worried if we do lose Patrick Graham and what it could do to this defense?
Yeah, I'm definitely worried about losing Patrick Graham. But I do think, I just trust in Joe Judge. Of course, I do have the Judge jersey on. I'm a huge Joe Judge fan. I like to call myself the leader of the Joe Judge fan club. I love the guy to death. I'm super excited with what the coaching staff has done because I think you pointed out well that we did have talent on this roster. It just wasn't reaching its potential until this coaching staff came in and really helped these guys grow and develop as players and really start to reach their potential. And we're seeing these players really improve this year under a new coaching staff. And we're seeing a much smarter coaching staff. I think that we really just outcoached the Seahawks. Like, we beat them through coaching. And I think that's a huge testament as to what Joe Judge and the staff has done. I can't remember a time in recent memory when the Giants, I feel, have outcoached another team and won a game based on coaching and coaching decisions and really scheming up such a great game plan that they just completely shut another team down and, totally win the game through coaching. So I think you've seen development in just about every position on the roster since the new coaching staff has come in. You could maybe say not tight end. I know Evan Engram hasn't looked the best this year, but I think everywhere else you've seen players really grow. And I think most importantly, you've seen the quarterback position really grow. You've seen Daniel Jones take a big step this year, in my opinion, at least. And I think that's the key to it all. As long as everything is going right for the quarterback and the quarterback is growing, that's the future of your team if you're building around Daniel Jones. And since he's gotten so much better this year, at least in my eyes, I think that's really the most important thing. And then, of course, you can talk about how the culture has changed and how Joe Judge has really brought in a new culture that all of the players have bought into. And you just get really excited looking at it and looking at how this team has overnight really changed and rebranded themselves. And I think the coaching staff is really the biggest part of that.
So I'm going to read this super chat, and then I'm going to go, speak a little bit off of what you said about Daniel Jones. Giant Step says, Fireside, love the breakdown with Brian Walker. They did a great job. I watched it. They did a great job. If you guys have not subscribed to Fireside Giants, please do so. Definitely want to have you guys back on, maybe for a video or something, kind of like what I do on your channel, like a podcast style video, whatever. But yeah, you guys do a great job with the film breakdowns. As far as Daniel Jones goes, if you just look at the box score, and I see some people in the chat, I glanced real quick. They said how good, Daniel Jones sucks. The offensive line, he's only got 8 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. You can't just look at numbers. It was the same thing last year. 24 touchdowns, 12 picks. I think people overhyped him a bit. People just looked at the statistics. They didn't look at the games. Daniel Jones, he should have thrown at least 20 picks last year. There were so many instances last year where you could see he didn't read the coverage well. He has matured as a quarterback this year. I know it may not show it on the stat sheet, but his pocket awareness is much better. His pre-snap reads have been much better. He may not be throwing as many touchdowns, but he is a more mature quarterback. He has definitely developed over the course of this season. I don't even think it's debatable when you watch the games. He's gotten better.
Yeah, I completely agree. Is it still on me? Still me to go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I completely agree. I think Jones, in terms of reading defense, early on in the season, I got a little worried because he started to lock into his first read very often, which we didn't see him do too much last year. It was like sort of a problem in college, and then last year I felt like he took some steps there. And then early this season, he went back to just locking into that first read, and a lot of dumb interceptions and close to interception throws were made. But I think since then, he's really progressed. Since about like week 4, I'd say, he's really started to turn it on. And he's got the highest passer rate in the NFL on 20-plus yard throws. He's been killing it on the deep balls. He loves to expose one-on-one coverages. And every time I just see him make a perfect throw when he's got the single coverage, whether it be the 2 deep balls to Evan Engram against the Bengals, whether it's, the deep ball to Shepard against the Eagles. I think he had a few against the Eagles that were really nice. Golden Tate against the Eagles on the Thursday night game. Throwing the ball deep has been strong. That's where he's season. I think that's really exciting.
Yeah, I'm losing a little bit.
What's happening?
It's the Disney World Wi-Fi. You're good.
Hotel Wi-Fi. Yeah, sorry.
Disney World charges you all this money to eat their pretzels and $150 to go to the parks, but they can't even give you good Wi-Fi. What are you staying in a nice hotel at least?
Yeah, it's pretty nice. It's nice.
All right. We're gonna bring it back to Big Blue in the Bronx, but I know that Alex said he has to go relatively soon, so I want to get his opinion a little bit more on Daniel Jones before he's got to leave. You watch the game every week. You guys have a great channel. You do a lot of film breakdowns. What do you think about the growth of Daniel Jones this year in comparison to last year?
Look, Daniel Jones, this starting this season, coming into another year and another offensive coordinator, how do you expect him to be suddenly looking at an elite level? We know he has the tools. We know he can throw the ball well. We know he can run the ball. The problem with Daniel Jones is he can't throw well out at the numbers. Really, the boundaries is the hardest part for him. Although he's fantastic when throwing to the right side of the field. Hitting the boundary, the right side of the field, he's amazing. When it comes to the left side, his numbers drop off significantly. So that's his major weakness. But for the most part, I think DJ has seen major growth this year, specifically in the last 4 to 5 games. He's gone 2.5 games, including that injured Cincinnati game, 2.5 games without turning the ball over. That's the longest it's been in his entire career so far. And then you look at a guy like Russell Wilson. He has 10 interceptions, maybe 11 now after the Giants. So, he's turning the ball over at a crazy rate too. So I don't think DJ actually has a turnover problem right now. I think he's actually solved that issue for the most part. I just think it's about more time in Jason Garrett's system. And I think it's about getting a number 1 receiver because like you guys have mentioned before, Darius Slayton is injured. He does not look 100% healthy. He did not track that ball down a couple weeks ago, that 50-yard bomb that DJ tossed. He clearly is lacking that next gear, that second level speed. So I think for when it comes to DJ, I love the growth. I think he's getting used to the scheme week by week. And really, I really just want to see him continue to stay healthy, because that's the major thing for me. These little blips, these little missed games here and there hurt his development, hurt his momentum. DJ is a very momentum-based quarterback. He needs that momentum week by week to not turn the ball over, get his reads down, move through the defense quickly. And actually, the major part of his game the last couple of weeks, he's been getting the ball out of his hands faster than ever before. That's the big thing for me. Before, he was holding on to the ball so much. Now he's throwing his receivers open. We're seeing him fit those balls into tight windows, take shots, but not overly risky shots. And he's not throwing those god-awful balls into the flat when he's running out of the pocket, and he just throws it to the flat and an interception. We saw that all prior to these past 4 games. So I love what I've seen with DJ the past couple of weeks, and I think him staying healthy is super important for the rest of the season in his development.
Let me ask you one more question. I kind of want to get everybody's opinion on this. We'll start with you, Alex. A lot of people bring up the scheme. A lot of my subscribers, a lot of channels bring up Jason Garrett. They think he's a major problem for Daniel Jones's development. How do you think DJ fits this scheme? And what do you think of Jason Garrett as a play caller?
Okay, that's a really good question, because Jason Garrett, look, we all know where Jason Garrett comes from, his history with the Dallas Cowboys. I actually think he learned a thing or two from Kellen Moore, who's been phenomenal the past couple of years. But when Jason Garrett came here, his goal was one thing: establish the run. And the Giants have done a fantastic job doing that, right? They've established the run. I mean, what are they, like 6-7 games consecutive over 100 yards, 4 games consecutive over 140 yards, 190 yards on the ground last week. They're doing exactly what they should be doing. And that's a lot thanks to Jason Garrett and his scheme that he's calling, and the coaching staff, really. Dave Guglielmo is doing a really good job, ever since Mark Colombo was let go. But I think, you have to give Jason Garrett a little bit more time. He's trying to build this scheme around the strengths of his weapons. And DJ, ultimately, they didn't know what his strengths were. He was turning the ball over so much, which is a personal issue. That's a very individualistic problem. You can't blame Jason Garrett for Daniel Jones's turnovers. Now that you've eliminated the turnovers, the Giants are on a 4-game winning streak. So how can you really look at Jason Garrett and say, he's the problem right now? You have to look at the run game and say Jason Garrett's doing really well in the run game. You can't fault him for that. And then you have to look at the passing game and say, okay, they don't have a number 1 wide receiver. They're Darius Slayton's clearly injured.
Barkley's out.
Barkley's out's another huge one. And that's actually before I move on. Barkley, I would love to see him when he returns act more as an Alvin Kamara type of piece, in the passing game. Get him diversified, get him versatile, because they were only targeting him under Pat Shurmur maybe 4 or 5 times in the receiving game. I want to see him running routes, those seam routes in the slot, splitting out wide on those running back bubble screens, like doing creative things with Saquon Barkley and using him as a weapon instead of running him up the gut every single time. Thanks, Pat Shurmur, so much for that, because we all know how much fun watching we all know how much fun it is watching Saquon Barkley run up the middle when he's not a north-south runner like Wayne Gallman. So that's really how I feel about this progression. I think Jason Garrett would have gotten it done. He's just injured, really, Saquon.
I kind of agree with you. I think Jason Garrett gets, me personally, and I want to get everybody's opinion because everybody's got their own opinion on it. I think he gets a lot more hate than he deserves. I think there's limitations to this offense. And I do like the fact that they've gotten back to a ground approach. And it's not perfect, this play calling, but I think the offense is growing each and every week. Let's go to Big Blue in the Bronx. Haven't heard from you in a while, man. What do you think of Garrett? How do you think Daniel Jones fits the scheme? And what do you think going forward?
Alex brought up a couple of great points there regarding the run game and everything else. It was definitely tough to adjust for this Giants offense, especially with Saquon Barkley exiting week 2. And then, you sign Freeman, and then it's obviously it doesn't get back to a crisp until like week 5. I think that was the first week or one of the first weeks that we rushed over 100 yards. So I think a lot of people need to give Garrett a little more time. And I think he's done a nice job with the running game, especially because we haven't seen, everyone can claim certain moments, but we haven't seen like a landmark like this in a couple of years with the run game. The last time we ran for, I think it was like 7 games or so many games over 100 yards was 2010. And we're not doing it with Saquon. We're doing it with a veteran running back and Alfred Morris. We're doing it with Wayne Gallman, which, again, I will say for the 1,000th time is one of the reasons I did not want Saquon Barkley in 2018, because I said, with Wayne Gallman, put him with a good offensive line, you'll get it. With the Daniel Jones thing, going back to asking about his development, I think people did need to give him more time. I think that the preseason, the fact that we didn't have an actual preseason with 4 games or 2 games or whatever, definitely hurt him. He's coming into a new system, new scheme, new coaches, and I definitely blame the fact that there was no preseason on a little bit of, Saquon Barkley's injury. I kind of think that was because, not the proper conditioning and all that stuff going back to no preseason. So I think the NFL should reconsider that going into years when you have emergencies like this. But definitely, I have always stayed in the fight with Daniel Jones, and I'm going to keep believing in this team, especially with Jason Garrett.
I like what you guys are saying. There's a lot of people that hate Garrett. Dig, go ahead, my man. What do you think? Garrett Jones, how does he fit the scheme, and what do you think of him as a play caller so far?
I'd definitely say that towards the beginning of the season, I did not like Garrett at all. I looked at some of his play calls, and he had a lot of receivers running like curl routes, and they were jumbled up together. It kind of made it difficult for Daniel to find people open because there was no one open. But I've been seeing a lot more motion lately. I've been seeing a lot of new wrinkles into the offense, which I guess you can go back to the preseason because we didn't have that. So he was kind of very vanilla and experimenting to see what will work that first quarter of the season. And if you look at this entire team after the first quarter of the season, it's improved drastically. So we were definitely hurt by that preseason not happening. But I'll say Jason Garrett is definitely stubborn. And I used to hate when he would motion those receivers in to block. But for now, it seems to be working, and he's stuck to his guns, and we're running the ball. So I definitely appreciate that we're able to run it.
Yeah. Before I bring it over to Anthony, my theory on Garrett always was, and it was the same thing with Jones. Everybody's mentality, rightfully so, with Jones going into the year was give it 4 or 5 weeks. It's a new scheme. You had no preseason. Well, you got to keep that energy with the offensive coordinator too. The Giants coming into the season, they had a very limited offensive line. They had never played with one another. 60% of the offensive line was brand new. You had a quarterback learning a new scheme, and I think Garrett kept it vanilla because he knew that there were a lot of limitations to this offense. At least that was my take on it. Since then, I think you've seen them open it up a bit, and I love their commitment to the run. But I want to get Anthony's take on Garrett and Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I'm
Mickey Mouse Wi-Fi.
on Jay Garrett. Really?
Again?
It happened again?
Good. No, you're good. You're good now. You're good now.
Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, I'm pretty optimistic on Jason Garrett. There's been a lot that I like. Everybody pretty much mentioned how we're running the ball very efficiently over the past few weeks, and I think you have to give him a lot of credit for that. But I think that when you do look at those first 4 weeks of the season, like you said, Chris, it was kind of like our preseason. He said that he was just trying to figure out the strengths and weaknesses of the offense. Even though a lot of fans probably feel like they could have told him that, he had to feel it out himself and really figure out how he wants to run this scheme. The only criticism that I really have is I think that I think that Daniel Jones' strength, like I tried to say earlier when the Mickey Mouse Wi-Fi got me, I was trying to say that Daniel Jones' strength is pushing the ball downfield and taking those deep shots. He's been very accurate with that. And I think that a more aggressive approach on offense would actually be more beneficial for Daniel Jones. I think that he could push the ball downfield even more than he is. I think sometimes he gets put into this game manager role by Jason Garrett, and I think that's really my only criticism. And I do think that there are certain times on like third down where it's just like all stick routes, it's all curls, and it makes it tough for him. But I think the difference would be if you want to do that, at least give Daniel Jones the freedom in the offense to roll out and scramble and actually do scramble drills, because you don't really see that. You see the receivers kind of run their routes and then sit there expecting Daniel Jones to just stand in the pocket and throw the ball. But I think that if they change the way that this offense works and really allow Daniel Jones to go off script, and I know that can get dangerous because then he's turning into a serious gunslinger and then he can get back into his turnover problems. But if you give him the trust to go do those things and just allow him to roll out of the pocket and make plays with his legs or do the scramble drill and try and make some aggressive throws downfield, I think that's how you really unlock like another level of Daniel Jones, and show that being aggressive on offense can actually be really beneficial sometimes, especially when you have such an accurate deep ball thrower. So I just think a more aggressive approach on offense sometimes, right now it's not necessary since we're running the ball so well. But you're not going to be able to run for 100 yards every single game. So when there are moments for Daniel Jones to be more aggressive, I would actually really like to see that. And that's really my only criticism with the Jason Garrett offense, because we've seen him improve a lot of the criticisms that I've had over recent weeks. We've seen more motion. We've seen more, creative packages offensively. We saw Shane Lemieux at fullback with Elijah Penny at running back. I thought that was pretty cool and creative, and there's really no way to stop that on 4th and 1 or 3rd and 1. So, I've seen a lot of creativity in recent weeks, and I think he's really improved everything. Just the one criticism, I think he can be more aggressive with Daniel Jones sometimes.
Yeah, I agree with that in certain aspects in the game. I agree with that. One thing I will say, I thought he was pretty aggressive in the Tampa game. Didn't work out, but that was actually probably the game they were most aggressive in. Just didn't work out. That was Jones' worst game. I think it was a coincidence, though. I definitely think Daniel Jones could throw the ball down the field. And I think as Jones gets more weapons on this offense, as he learns it better, I think you will see them be more aggressive, especially going into next year in 2021. John, man, thank you very much. Says, stand up. Hey, Chris, my man, you ready for this win tomorrow? We're going to clip all the birds' wings. Let's go Giants, man. John, man, thank you so much, man. Really appreciate it. Listen, we've clipped 2 birds' wings. We've got to clip 2 more. But it's one game at a time. And let's talk about that since we're talking about clipping wings. Alex, let's start with you. Playoffs. Give me your chances here. Give me your chances here. Giants gonna make the playoffs this year.
Wow. Okay, so this comes a lot to Washington, who's also trending up, right? Washington's looked really good last week against Pittsburgh, a team that's actually trending down. But the Giants, man, I think the Eagles are collapsing. I think Carson Wentz's contract is the best Christmas gift I've gotten in years. Basically, Carson Wentz's contract doesn't kick in. His extension doesn't kick in until next year. And it's terrible. So if you're a Giants fan, you're pretty happy about this because the Eagles are really screwed unless they can find a way to trade him. But I don't know anyone who's willing to take on a contract like that right now and hope for the best with Carson Wentz. But for the most part, I think Dallas is also kind of in a tough spot. I don't think they're making the playoffs. Right now, it's between us and Washington. This game against Arizona is a big deal. And the reason for that is because if they win, not only do they overtake Arizona in the wild card, but they also take a little cushion against Washington, who has a really tough matchup this week. In the NFC East. So this is a huge win. I actually think we have a better shot in this than going into Seattle. So I'm pretty optimistic. But as a Giants fan, the past couple of years, I can't say that they're going to win. I have to be, play devil's advocate at the same time. But I do love this defense. I do love what Patrick Graham's doing, and I think as long as DJ can stand in the pocket, make his throws, don't make any big mistakes, don't turn the ball over, we're going to be just fine. But as for the playoffs, I'd probably give it about a 65% chance right now. And if we win this week, I'll bump that up to about a 75 to 85% chance.
Yeah, I think this is a must-win game, personally. When you look at the rest of I shouldn't say must-win, but it's our most winnable game outside of the Dallas game. When you look at our 3 quote-unquote challenging games coming up, somebody asked for the link. I just posted it. I'm not going to take nearly as many guesses as I have in the past. We're gonna take it slow. We'll take a couple of colons tonight. I'll pick one here and there, but there's the link. So if you get in, I may not get to you, but we're going to take it slow. But yeah, I think this is a winnable game. I think it's a game we should win. And I'm kind of with you. I think if we win tomorrow and Washington loses, I would say we have at least a 60%. Because if you look at the playoff landscape, let's just say that happens. Let's say Washington loses to San Francisco. And let's say we win tomorrow. The only way we don't control our own destiny, we would have to lose our next 2, and Washington would have to win their next 2. That's the only way we wouldn't control our own destiny going into Week 17. So if we get a win tomorrow, there's a very strong possibility we'll at least be playing for the playoffs going into Week 17. And right now, as a Giants fan, that's all I'm asking for. Give me that opportunity. If we beat Dallas, we get in. But big game tomorrow. Dig, I want to go over you, man. What do you think about the Giants' playoff possibilities with 4 weeks remaining?
Yeah, building off of that, I think this next game is really big because if you look at our first 3 wins from this streak, it was 2 NFC East teams, which no one's taken serious. The Bengals without Joe Burrow. And then the only one people really take serious is that Seahawks game. So I'm definitely looking to this Cardinals game to see if we can stack 2 quality wins back to back. If we win this next game, I'm definitely thinking that I'm going to call it at that point because I've been thinking that it's a race to 7 wins. And if we can get to 7 wins, I don't see Washington getting to 8 because we have that tiebreaker. So if we win this upcoming game, I'm pretty much starting to raise the flag for the division.
Wow. See, I worry a little bit about Washington. They've looked good the last couple of weeks. Now, granted, obviously they beat Pittsburgh. Granted, Pittsburgh only had 4 days to prepare for that game. I got to see how they do tomorrow before I'm raising any flags. But if Washington loses tomorrow and we win, I'm kind of with you. I'm very confident. I'm not going to say we won it, but we're in a very good spot if we win tomorrow and Washington loses. So I'll definitely have my eyes on that 4:00 game. But let's bring it over to Anthony on his thoughts on the playoff possibilities for the Giants. I think it's a two-team race, Anthony.
I agree. I think it's a two-team race. I think very much to my happiness, the Eagles are imploding. That makes me extremely, extremely happy. And Dallas is also imploding quite a bit. I think that's, a positive we can all draw from this season and from this year as well. But I think that looking at the Giants' schedule, it's very tough, but I do see a lot of good teams, a lot of playoff caliber teams, but a lot of beatable teams. I think the Giants really could beat all of those teams. I think Cleveland's going to be tough, but I think, we're at home. Hopefully we're going to pick up a win tomorrow and go into next week with some momentum and be at home on prime time. I actually do feel like we can pull that upset off. I think that Cleveland really, when you think about it, the Giants defense has been so good. And if you can just rattle Baker Mayfield and get him to turn the ball over a few times and then just keep Daniel Jones clean and keep him from turning the ball over, I think that's really the formula there. And I don't think that's really that hard to do with Baker. He can be very streaky sometimes. Sometimes he can have those games where he's turning the ball over and just, isn't looking like his usual self, or maybe that is his usual self, depending on how you look at Baker Mayfield. And then the Ravens game, they've struggled a lot this season. And I think they're pretty beatable, like they handled Dallas pretty easily, but I think they've had their struggles. The Giants could totally pull that off, and I expect them to beat Dallas. We only lost to Dallas last time, basically on a Hail Mary and then a miracle field goal, and that's really disappointing because if you think about it, if we would have won that, and if Evan Engram would have not dropped that pass on the Thursday night game against Philadelphia,
it'd be over.
Think about where the Giants would be. Yeah, we would already have this playoff spot pretty much.
We'd be 7-5.
And not fumble. Yeah, we'd be right there in the seat.
Yeah, it would be
right.
wrapped up if we won those.
Personally, I think, Washington, I'm a big 49ers fan tomorrow. I'm going to be rooting really hard for San Francisco, extremely hard. And then I think that I actually think San Fran can pull that off. And I don't see Washington actually just going on a tear here in these final weeks. I don't think that they've been really that kind of team that has that ability. I think, and the main thing about that is I think the quarterback position, I've got a ton of respect for Alex Smith and how he came back from this injury, but I don't think that he's the guy at this point in his career who's going to take over and start leading the team to the playoffs in the final stretch of the season. I think Daniel Jones, I'd rather bet on him to do that than I would Alex Smith. And I'm always taking the quarterback. I think it's the most important position in sports. So I'm always just going to bet on the team that I think has a better quarterback. So I'm betting on the Giants all the way for these final 4 weeks of the season.
Love the optimism, man. Ty Jackson says if Washington loses their next two and we win our next two, we clinch one game at a time. We'll see what happens. Of course, Washington's got Seattle after this week. So we'll see how it all plays out when I go over to Big Blue in the Bronx. What do you think our playoff possibilities are right now, my
man? Very, very good, obviously, now that we're at the top of the division. But we have to look. Obviously, they beat the Cowboys. In my opinion, I didn't expect that to happen. But we have to look at this game, even though it's still not a dead duck, in my opinion, and go back to Pittsburgh and say, well, is this a fluke? Because if it's not a fluke, you have to look down the stretch to their games. They have Seattle on their schedule. They got Carolina, which is going to be an emotional game for Rivera, even though they're home because he's coaching against his former team. They also obviously could beat Philly in their home territory week 17. So the Giants are probably, in my opinion, 6, 7, possibly 8 wins have to be there. And a lot like other people, listen, I would love to win the division. I want to win it clean. I don't want to win it just by a tiebreaker. I want to win it by at least one game. That's my personal opinion. And obviously, and we'll see what the Browns look like because everyone was not taking the Browns seriously. I know I didn't before last week against the Titans until they kicked the crap out of them. And now now everybody's saying, oh, they're a serious team now. So we'll see what they look like this week against the Ravens. And then next week on primetime, because I think we can handle them.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll see. One game at a time. We're going to bring our first guest on. Nate is a regular caller on the channel. What's going on, Nate? Thanks for calling on. Thanks for coming on, Nate. What's up, buddy?
Thanks for having me. And before we actually get into some Giants football, and there's so much to talk about, I got to call out Authentic in the chat for lying because he is not 37 years old. I do not believe that. That is a lie. You will not convince me of it. Because, man, look, if he's 37 and he looks like he's 23, I must look like a 7-year-old on here, man.
Authentic is legitimately 37. He definitely doesn't look his age.
All right. Anyway, though, first thing, Alex, you said something earlier that I got to ask you a question about because I had not heard this. You said there was like an evaluator or some kind of trainer that works with Sterling Shepard, who has apparently some good authority in the league. And he said that Sterling Shepard is better as an outside receiver than a slot. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, so Anthony was actually with me in that film review that we did. You can actually watch it on our channel. We did it a while back with David Robinson. Really, really cool guy, and he works with general managers in the NFL. He was telling us before the film session, and he was saying his route running and his ability to actually go downfield is really, really good. In the slot, obviously, you want those guys that are going to be really good on crossing routes. Look at Tyler Lockett. He worked out of the slot a lot, which is why Darnay Holmes was on him last week. And he runs a lot of these slide routes. It's essentially just a drag route, but closer to the line of scrimmage. And you see Sterling Shepard do a lot of those things, right? He does a lot of wham routes where he's gonna fake to the inside and then actually shoot back outside. He's one of the best at that. But what he's really good at on the outside is those dig routes, those coming back, those stick routes. We saw it a couple weeks ago. Daniel Jones hit him on a gorgeous comeback route on the right side of the boundary, which is where he's actually really good at throwing. So I think you have to pair up the strengths of the quarterback with the strengths of the wide receiver. And I think he's one of the best when it comes to those comeback routes. But he's not a 9 guy. He's not a 9 guy. He's not going to run past anybody. He's not a DK Metcalf. But I think, he's really good at working inside and out. And it was really interesting to hear David say that as well, because I was like, really? I didn't believe it at first either. But I think he has a lot of the route tree down, except for those long routes. And we saw him catch one on the left side earlier this season from DJ. He can do it every now and then, but I think he's just such a pure route runner. Having him on the outside isolated away from zone coverage actually benefits him.
Okay. Well, I think anyone who knows me knows that I am big into roster building. I'm very much that kind of guy. I talk a lot about the future. Whenever someone says that we're in the playoffs, so I shouldn't be talking about the draft, I scoff at that. But that just changes so much. If we do think that Sterling Shepard can be that outside guy across from Slayton, that opens up a lot of possibilities at the end of the first round of this draft, specifically with a guy that I had completely written off named Rondale Moore, who I'm sure you've heard of. He is pure slot, which is why I thought that it would be a bad pick for the Giants. But if Sterling Shepard could be the outside guy, that opens up a lot of receivers, especially in the second round also, because I've talked to Chris about this before, and a lot of the best receivers in this draft are slots. Some aren't, but a lot are. So that would really open up a lot of options there. And then another thing I wanted to ask was about something that someone said this earlier. I'm sorry, I forget who it was. But I am unfortunate enough to be a Northwestern fan. So not trying to pick on you, whoever said this, but when you said Montre Hartage or whatever, and it's just Montre Hartage, that was so funny to me. Anyway, though.
I think he's gonna be. I think he's out this week. I think I saw that before I went live. I think
he's on IR now.
Yeah, he's on IR now. Yeah.
He's also
That's
for clarity,
Marjorie
not
Harper.
going to do anything in the league. I loved him.
Harper's
So in terms of the Arizona matchup, someone said this again. I have been listening to this sort of podcast-ish while I do other stuff, but someone said specifically about Kyler Murray and the similarities and differences and sort of the nuance there between him and Russell Wilson. He is a better athlete than Russ is at this point in his career, and he's a little bit faster, got a little bit more speed in the run game. And there is a difference in how they like to scheme that up in Arizona. Lots of QB sweeps and stuff like that. I'm curious to see how Cliff Kingsbury handles the fact that he's obviously got the jitters after that whole shoulder injury with the AC joint. So that's going to be interesting to see how he schemes that up. Because if there's one thing that we know about the Cardinals, they love to attack those edges. They love that jet motion. They love that QB sweep. They love all that stuff. So if we can take that away completely in the run game and then handle the north-south Kenyon Drake type stuff, that's step one towards handling this offense entirely. And then obviously just with Kyler specifically, he does not handle the blitz like Russell Wilson does. Russell Wilson handles blitz very well. Usually, obviously, Patrick Graham did it in a very specific way, and that worked out pretty well. But Russell Wilson, if you can get pressure on him, and someone else said this again, if you can make him be what he's not, if you can make him be a pocket passer and make him go through his progressions quickly and make him read this defense, you're going to have good success there. So I think that's kind of the keys there, and I'm curious about your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, easier said than done because I like you said, Murray is even when Wilson was in his prime, Murray's a better athlete. He's quicker. What did he run, like a 4.3 something? Like he's fast. He's definitely a guy that you got to worry about, and they got to come out with a similar game plan. and contain them. And I think that starts with getting interior pressure up the middle, much like they did last week
Sure.
against Seattle with Russell Wilson. But I'm going to tell you what, I watch Cardinal games here and there when I get an opportunity to watch them, whether it's on the red zone, whether it's, watching a game in its entirety when they show it here. Every game that I watch, whether they're in prime time, when I get an opportunity, he'll make 2 or 3 bad throws. And if you force him to throw the football, Murray's going to make mistakes. The question is, are the New York Giants going to be able to capitalize on it?
Yeah, he also makes some poor decisions from time to time. Not even poor reads on the defense, which does happen. Sometimes he misses the best target on the field.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you what. If he doesn't kill us with his legs, which he hasn't done the last 3 weeks, and some of that may have to do with the fact that he's nursing a shoulder injury and maybe they're trying to baby him a little bit. They don't want him to get hurt. But if we force him, if he doesn't kill us with our legs, I think we're going to win this football game. I really do. Unless we turn the football over, then, it's anybody's game. We have to be smart with the football. But that's what I worry about most with this offense. It's his legs. I'm not too concerned with his arms. If you make him one-dimensional, I think he'll make some mistakes. I think this New York Giants defense will capitalize.
And then the other thing about the Arizona offense is that it's kind of similar to, in my opinion, what Jason Garrett's offense is supposed to be, where normally if Jason Garrett had the talent on the offense to do this and he had a consistent quarterback, what it's supposed to be is that it starts with 1 or 2 principles and builds off that and gets more complicated from there. So when you watch Arizona's offense on the field, when they're having success, it's because they're establishing the run game north-south, and then once they stack the box on you, they're going to get you outside with the sweeps, with the jets, with that kind of stuff, and attack the edges. And then once they can get you fully committed to the run, then comes the play-action pass. And that's where Kyler's really deadly. DeAndre Hopkins especially has had a lot of success on that, on the play-action. And that's with a few plays that the Patriots gave up in the air game. That was really in play-action, I thought, when I watched that film. So that's going to be sort of the key, is to just shut it down right from the beginning. Because if they can't get that offense rolling, it's not going to roll at all.
Yeah. Dig, anything you want to add to that?
I mean, I think it's just what you guys have said. It's just about limiting Murray. The last 3 games, he's been 15, 31, and 15, and he's lost all 3. I heard a stat a couple of weeks ago about when he's held under 60 yards, things usually go bad for him. I don't know how many games he's actually won, but I'm pretty sure he has a losing record when that happens. So if we can continue the trend of holding him under 60 yards, then we'll have a great shot, unless we get a vintage 4 or 5 turnover game, which I don't think we'll see.
And what if I told you this sentence before the season started? How crazy would you think I was? The sentence is, the Cardinals offense is being hindered by Cliff Kingsbury's conservative play calling. That sentence just doesn't sound right, man.
I think a lot of it has to do with Murray's arm. I think he is banged up. People have talked about that right shoulder injury. But, people in Arizona are pissed off. I mean, I've gone on Arizona Cardinals YouTubers channels this week, and they say, like what you just said, he's been very conservative in his play calling. I got to think some of that goes back to Murray and his right shoulder injury.
Most likely.
Yeah. And then another thing to add, as far as their red zone offense, you were mentioning that earlier, probably a big reason why they've been so successful is because Kyler, to start the season off, was on like a historic kind of way of he was going to be the all-time, he might still be able to do it, be the all-time single season quarterback leader for rushing touchdowns. And with him not running as much as he is, and him being a little timid as far as putting his shoulder down and getting into contact, I think that's going to be a big factor too as far as our red zone defense.
And this is a little off topic from what we've been talking about, but can you pull up what Authentic just said, please, Chris? Because Authentic is saying something that I've been hammering on the last few weeks. People have been crushing Garrett this year for his play calling, for his play design, all that stuff. And I think a lot of the complaints are valid and a lot of that stuff is fair. But like he's saying, he's only 12 games in. He hasn't had consistent quarterback play, and at times he's had pretty bad quarterback play. The offensive line has been growing as it goes, and he doesn't have all-world type weapons at the receiver position. I get that there's some problems, but people are trying to run him out of town already. So let's just
you're preaching to the choir, Nate. I honestly think the criticism that Jason Garrett's gotten overall has been ridiculous, to be honest with you. I don't think he's been given a great situation, and I think the short preseason, much like people bring up with Daniel Jones and everybody else, the same can be said for the coaches and the scheme, because those players have to learn that scheme, and these players have to become accustomed to it. They have to go, and I'll tell you what, I'll give you a stat. Before Daniel Jones went down, we scored over 20.6 games in a row in this offense. It's the first time we did that since 2014. So we were seeing growth in the offense, and it may not be this high-flying, air-the-ball-out type offense, but the running game has been really good as it's been in a decade. And Garrett deserves some credit for that. The offensive line definitely has been playing very well. I'm not saying he's a great play caller. I'm not saying he's the Andy Reid of football.
Right.
But I don't think he's this – I don't think he's nearly as bad as some fans are making him out to be.
Yeah, and if there was one thing that I was going to complain about with Garrett, it wouldn't really be the play design, because a lot of people hammer him on that, and I don't really have a huge issue with some of these plays he draws up. For me, it would more be situational play calling, because some of that stuff is – there are some plays he calls just situationally that are mind-boggling to me, but they're few and far between, the really bad calls, and a lot of it is just we don't have all the data in front of us that these guys have access to. They're trying to go off tendencies, and they're trying to go off what looks he thinks the defense is giving him. So I think we can ease off on him a little bit, huh?
I think he's been decent. I'm not going to say he's been great, but he's not been, Patrick Graham's been great.
Exactly.
But the offense is learning it. They're getting better each and every week, and take it from there. And I think if he's back next year, if he doesn't get a coaching job in college or the pros, we'll see how the offense continues to grow. I don't want a lot of change there. I've talked about that. I don't think it's a good idea to go through 3 different offensive coordinators in the first 3 years of your quarterback's career. And a lot of fans seem to think that they want to do that. I do not. I want sustainability at that position. I want Daniel Jones to have an opportunity to grow in this offense next year. But we'll see. We'll see what happens at the end of the year.
And by the way, Joseph Santiago has been trying to get us to talk about the Cardinals defense for a while now. So the one thing I will say about the Cardinals defense, because they do have a lot of problems, is that I do not want Daniel Jones to be with the ball within 20 yards of Budda Baker. He is going to be ended. He has shown he doesn't want to slide, and I don't want Budda Baker to level this man.
Excuse me.
You know what? Big Blue in the Bronx, let's talk about that. Let's talk about Daniel Jones. And, all right, here's what I'm going to say. I don't think they're going to run that much with Daniel Jones in this game at all, because
Probably not.
I don't think he's 100%. But Big Blue in the Bronx, let me get your thoughts on, I guess, worrying about Daniel Jones re-injuring himself if he tries to take off and run.
Okay, so first off topic, I would like to apologize for me burping into the microphone and eating. I'm eating very late. Unfortunately, the situation is what it is personally. But anyway, I said this earlier. Don't expect Daniel Jones to take too many deep shots. It's going to be conservative. They're probably not going to run him like they usually would. No read. I'm not going to expect a lot of read options, if any. Maybe same thing with Kyler Murray. Maybe I don't know how his injury is. They're probably going to do obviously passing and stuff like that, but I don't expect him to do a lot of read options and do that stuff. But Budda Baker is definitely someone you want to watch in this game. And I kind of had this mentality, if we took Jamal Adams lightly and he didn't do a lot, I mean, he had a sack and a tackle for a loss. Take Budda Baker the same way. I just feel like he may or may not have more of an impact. So that's someone you definitely got to watch on that defense. Probably one of the only key players that they have playing up to par right now.
Now, Nate, I'm going to let you go. I got a lot of people waiting, and I'm trying to get as many people in as I can.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
You got it, man. Thank you for calling in, Nate. All right. We are going to get to – all right, first off, I see 2 people not showing their faces. You got a minute to show your face. If you don't, I'm kicking you off, because you know what happened last time. Somebody showed a picture of a penis. So you're not coming on if you don't show your face. Next up, we're going to bring on the man of the hour, and he is
GOAT.
I like that guy right here, the guy in the middle. What's his name?
Well, I don't know. Your middle might look different than my middle. Who's the
well,
guy
he's above his partner. His partner.
He's talking about Anthony.
You're talking about Alex? You're talking about Anthony? You're talking
Both
about Alex?
of them. I want to talk to Alex.
I'm Alex.
Christopher, remember he was in a chat with Cop Pizzle,
Okay.
remember? With Nicole, and we were talking. And
Yeah.
then you told him, oh, you don't have any shot after I finished, remember? Was that him?
I don't think so, no.
Yes. What's your name on?
don't
What's
think
your
so.
regular name? No, on like
Alex?
Blues.
Fireside Giant.
Fireside Giants.
Maybe you're not the guy then. Okay, I'm sorry. And Anthony, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Had a lot of food today at Food and Wine Festival.
Yeah.
And, well,
Do you meet the girl from Hell's Kitchen at all? Was she there?
no, I didn't. I don't know
She
about her.
usually
think she
goes
was
to
there.
that thing. She usually goes. And
I-
that guy on the
I think
top,
she will.
who is that guy? What's his name?
Well, you got Big Blue in the Bronx, and you got Dick.
Dick, yeah, right there, the guy on top. I never
What's going
met
on?
those guys before. Now, where you
Well, now
guys
you-
from?
well-
New York?
well, now you
Well,
did.
New York? Yeah,
Yeah.
What part of New York are you from?
I'm in Manhattan.
And you, Anthony?
I used to live on Long Island. I live down in Florida right now.
lives
Oh,
in
and you
Disneyland.
over there?
Oh, I'm from DC.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, Christopher, the score will be 38-17 Giants.
I like it.
Very
Bobby
bold prediction.
is always overly optimistic, but I'll give him
And
credit.
I'm going to push all the chips in, and we run the table, guys. Watch. We're going to run the table.
crazy.
I'm not afraid of the Browns. They could, they have, but they might do what they brown their pants because our defense is going to sack their quarterback so much time, right? And then who will we play next? The Ravens don't scare me, and of course we're going to blow out the Cowgirls. So pushing all the chips, we're 9-7. That's
All right.
my prediction.
All right. What do you
And
think of Kyler Murray? What do you think of Kyler Murray? You worried about him at all?
No, I think he's good. He's not good. Like you said, he's injured. He might not throw too much, or he might not run too much either.
Well, he's got to
And
do one or the
maybe-
other, Bobby.
Maybe we'll get a few picks too. I say we got to sack him 7 times, and we're gonna get 3 picks.
Wow. Bobby, if they do all of that, I'm gonna have to have you on the channel. If they get 3 picks, 7 sacks, they score 38 points and only give up 17, I'm gonna have to have you on the channel. We're gonna do an exclusive video.
Well,
Bobby's
yeah.
an oracle.
Well, last
He's
time
an
I said
oracle.
6 sacks. Remember? I called 6 sacks. They only got 5.
They got 5 though. That's still pretty good, Bobby.
And then the running back for our team is going to run for 180 yards.
Wayne Gallman's gonna have 180 yards on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Bobby, did you drink before you came on, or you're just?
No,
you're just
I'm fine. I'm myself. I am great.
I love the optimism. Peter says, Chris, when did someone show a pic of like 2 streams ago? I got rid of the stream.
Yeah, that was horrible. No.
The Cop Piz also had an incident like that last stream.
Yes, he did. Cop Pizzle did not like that at all.
Yeah, so
Don't do that to my.
and I already see Aeon Poll, whoever that is. He's showing video. If I don't see the face, you ain't coming on because
They in the Bronx, right? You were on the last channel too with us, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm in love with Nicole. She's beautiful. She's gorgeous.
Anything else, Bobby?
Hey, you kicking me off after you had that little red hair guy for 15 minutes?
Well, the red haired guy talk football.
Hey, I'm talking football too.
Let's talk football. All right, what do you got? What do you got for us? What do you want to?
Okay, I still like the coaches. I think I gave it a hard time for Mr. Clapper. I'm wrong. I'm the first one to admit it. He's really doing better for our team. Clapper.
You like Gary?
I thought he was going to give us the clap all year, but we changed around. He's doing good. And then I do like our head coach, the guy who he likes.
Well, I think everybody likes our head coach. Joe Judge has been great.
Yes, he has. Very good. That's why I think we're going to run the table with him. Too.
Love
And then the defensive guy is awesome. I'm telling you, he's
Patrick
just like,
Graham.
yeah, he's like Spagnola. I like Spagnola too. But he's a great guy. He, like he says, he puts people in where they could play.
Bobby, I got a question for you. I asked everybody on the stream earlier.
What?
Do you have a pregame ritual when before the morning of the game? Do you have any like superstitious pregame ritual?
Yes.
Let me hear it.
I take a shower at 9:00.
Okay.
Then I go eat my breakfast. I eat scrambled eggs and bacon.
Uh-huh.
And then I give some to Seahawk.
You give your cat bacon?
Yeah, she loves bacon.
Okay.
And she loves you too, Chris.
I know. You tell me every time you're on.
And then we get to watch my pregame shows like Fox. I like Fox the best.
Okay.
That's how
Very
I
good
do
stuff.
it. That's how I do it. I like your hat, Anthony.
Thank you. I figured I'd be a little festive. My hair was a little bit of a mess after walking around
But
for all
why
these
are you
hours.
so
So I was like, I'll just put a little
cold?
hat on.
It's warm in Florida. Up here,
It's kind of warm.
well,
it's
up
more
here
just to
pretty
cover the
warm,
hair.
too, 40 degrees. 40 degrees in New York. You're good.
It's in
And
the
then what's your
70s here.
partner? Where is he from again?
I'm in Manhattan.
Oh, you like Manhattan? Tough area down there.
Yeah,
You know
I mean,
Nicole?
it's fun.
Do you know
I
Nicole?
know like 16 Nicoles. There's so many
Well, the
Nicoles.
one
Which one are
who
you
was
talking about?
on Cop Pizzle's channel last time.
I don't think he knows Scott Pizzle.
Oh, you
I
got
don't
it.
know Nicole. I don't know that Nicole.
Oh, you got to meet Nicole, right? Kid from the Bronx, right? Brooklyn.
Yeah, sure.
She's very pretty. And then we have Bad Dog on too.
Oh,
And then,
Bobby,
yeah,
you
I
are a
gotta
character.
go. I know I talk, but
Bobby, you are a character, my friend.
hey, remember, Cop Pizzle let me on for a longer time than you let me on.
You do a great
But
job on Cop Pizzle's channel, Bobby.
Yeah, next time you better get it. I'll give you a call. I want to be on a round table with you.
All right, Bobby, we'll talk about it. Thank you so much.
Hey, wait. Okay, goodbye, Christopher.
Bobby, have a good one, man. Have a good one. Oh my God, is he a character? Holy hell!
I love Bobby.
Bobby is quite the character. I don't know. Ash Money Records. What's going on, man? Thank you for waiting. What's up, buddy?
Hey man, how are you?
Good, man. What's going on, man?
Not much. You could call me Ash, and this is my my YouTube name. I actually got
all right.
my own. Yeah. Basically, what I want to talk about. I forgot. I don't know who said it, but like somebody said they haven't got a haircut. I actually have not gotten a haircut in like a month and a half. That's why I'm wearing this hat right now. So yeah.
Is that your superstition? You want to you don't cut your hair?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, not this. This is not it's not a usual thing, but it's been working for me. I haven't got a cut since like before the Eagles game. So, I just felt like I just keep it growing. I actually got some. You can't see it, but I got some facial.
Nice, man. What do you think about this game going in against Arizona? Yeah. What do you think about this game going up against Arizona?
I feel like it's a very game.
Disney too?
I feel like. Am I at Disney? No, I'm not. This is just
Oh yeah, because your Wi-Fi. Yeah, your Wi-Fi. you're, yeah, I think you're at Disney.
Oh,
you're crapping out a little bit.
Wi-Fi. Oh
yeah.
Maybe my internet will do better, but yeah. I feel like basically it's gonna be a lot on the defense. Like you said, I feel like Daniel Jones. He's gonna be conservative coming off that injury. Oh my gosh.
You know what? I'm gonna let you go. You can come back if you get that Wi-Fi working. You come back if you get that Wi-Fi working. I'm gonna let him go. We'll bring on Ian Paul. He's been waiting for a bit. Let's see if his Wi-Fi is working a little bit better. What's going on, man?
Hey guys, how you doing?
What's going on, man? What do you want to talk about?
All right, so before I get to what I want to talk about, I'll just say, going back to that superstition stuff. I was watching the game on Sunday, right? And it was 5-0 in the third quarter. I went out, I put this cap on, I put on my Giants hoodie, and that's when they started scoring. So I don't know if that's coincidental or if that's related to the superstition, but I'll probably do that tomorrow.
Do it. I haven't taken the hoodie off since the last 4 or 5 weeks. So you got to do what you got to do. I shower with this thing.
All right. So basically, what I wanted to talk about was I don't think the NFC East is going to be as close as everyone thinks it will be in the future. Like, if you look at the Giants and Washington's record this season, I think our 5-7 is way different than Washington's 5-7. Like, if you look at our 5-7, we did it while we had a bunch of injuries to deal with, both offense and defense. We had all the turmoil with Joe Judge firing Mark Colombo, which I don't get why that was such a big deal. And yeah, like when you look at our 5-7, we're going to be way better in the future than at Washington, I think, because they're pretty much set. Like, they're a great defense, but no quarterback. So unless they actually get a quarterback to enhance their defense, I don't really think we're going to have that much competition in the future. But I just wanted to get your guys' perspective on that.
Yeah, let's start. I haven't heard from Anthony a bit. Let's start with you, man. Talk about the future of the division. Where do you think the New York Giants stand in relation to the other 3 teams?
All right, first I want to say a couple of things. One, the chat is really funny and it's kind of making me laugh. So I'm not laughing at anybody in here. I'm laughing at the chat. It's been killing me. Also, I want to say my superstition because I wasn't in the stream when you asked everybody. I was watching it just before I got in the stream. So I want to say that when we win, Alex knows this. I don't wash my jersey. I just wear the same jersey week after week. Once we lose, I wash it, and I gotta wash away the stink of losing. But the whole idea of it is that when you win, you got to smell like an animal to play like an animal. So I'm trying to get this jersey to smell really right by wearing it every week, and then we'll keep winning. You know, we'll be playing like animals. So that's the whole idea. It's something that my uncle and I have done for years now. And when we went on that big Super Bowl run, you know, we won the last 6 straight 4 playoff games, and 2 weeks before, my jersey was smelling pretty right by the time the Super Bowl ran around. So that's my superstition. And then, all right, so now I'll talk about future of the Giants. I think, you know me, like I said, big Joe Judge guy. I see a really bright future for this team just because of Joe Judge. I think, you know, I just have so much trust in him. And then, of course, it's Dave Gettleman as a general manager. Chris knows this. Alex knows this. I've been pretty critical of him. I'm not the biggest Dave Gettleman fan, but I'll say he did an excellent job this past season. And I think that whatever Joe Judge decides, shout out to Mike Too Nice. He's the one who really put this idea in my head that whatever Joe Judge decides is really what the Giants should do. If Joe Judge wants to keep Dave Gettleman around, then they should keep Dave Gettleman around. If he wants to work with somebody else, then that's what they should do. Regardless, I have a lot of trust and faith in Joe Judge. I think that if he is the man at the head coaching position, I think this team is going to be really good for a long time.
Well, anybody else want to speak about the future of the division? Not just this year, going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I'm down to talk about it. I got to hop off right after this answer right here.
And then get some sleep, man.
Absolutely. Oh, no, I'm going to sleep. I got to watch a movie with my girl. Otherwise she'll get mad at me. No, but to answer your question, I think the division is going to be competitive. You know, Washington's on the up. The Giants are on the up. Dallas, you know, once they get Dak back, if they sign him to a big deal, they're going to be on the up too. Like this is going to be a very competitive division. I think right now we're seeing like an anomaly, like really, come on, like there would be no winning teams in the NFC East, right? So it's kind of scary to say that because this is really a bad look for the NFC East. But we're starting to get competitive. Think how these guys are trending up right now, all these teams. So realistically, this chat's killing me. But no, I think the Giants are in a good position. We're trending up with Joe Judge. Dave Gettleman's a guy that, you know, like Anthony said, if Joe Judge wants him there, you gotta keep him around. I think they have a pretty good chemistry right now with the way that Gettleman is actually helping to build the units based on what they need. You know, I think there was a disconnect between Shermer and Gettleman. I think there was a disconnect between Reese and McAdoo and Reese in the past coaches and Coughlin really towards the end. But if Gettleman and Judge are on the same page and the coaching staff says, we want these guys, we want this to happen, you guys can come. We trust Gettleman to go find these guys in free agency and in the draft. I think you keep him personally.
Oh yeah, 100%. If it ain't, like I said earlier, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They seem to work well together. I'm completely with you on that. I'm gonna let you go. Go watch it. What movie are you gonna watch, by the way?
I'm actually not sure. I haven't picked one out yet.
All right, well, go pick
something involving Netflix, right? Oh, you people on the chat.
Enjoy the movie, man. Thank you for coming on, buddy. And if you guys haven't done so, please subscribe to Fireside Giant, man. Thank you so much for coming on, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Chris, you're the man as always. If you're here for the first time, Chris is like the best YouTuber on the planet. Much love for him. Much love for his community he's building and the Twitter. Make sure to go follow his Twitter too, because he has a sick Twitter, posting all day long about the Giants. If you love the Giants, man, there's nowhere better to go than Chris, the entertainer.
Well, I appreciate that, man. Same thing to you, man. You guys are doing a great job. Always love reading your articles, and you got a pretty damn good Twitter account yourself. So thank you for coming on, buddy. Enjoy the movie and enjoy the win tomorrow. Let's get a win tomorrow.
Absolutely, my friends. And also thanks to the other guys for tuning in and having some great insight to this team as well. I'll catch you guys later.
All right, buddy. Be good. Now I'm going to speak real quick on the future of the division. Right now, I think the Giants and Washington are the two clear-cut favorites. Dallas may rebound. We'll have to wait and see, what they decide to do with Dak Prescott. I think the Eagles are in big trouble, but Washington needs a quarterback, and we'll see how they address that this offseason, whether it's in free agency or whether it's in the draft. I think the Giants are in the best spot right now because they do have a quarterback that we think could emerge into being a franchise quarterback. We have an emerging offensive line. We have an emerging defense. We like our head coach. I think the Giants are in a really good spot. I think they're the favorite going into next year. I really do believe that.
Yeah, I'm operating off recency bias, but I just think of it this way. When you see the defense we have, it's a top 10 defense. It's not even a question. Might be even top 5. But we're doing it with 6 and 7 rounders that we just drafted. Like, when we get back our edge rushers, I really don't see why we couldn't be a top 5 defense. But that could just be me and my bias for my favorite team. But I really do think, like, once everyone's healthy, you won't really have much competition. Like, Washington will be good, but they just won't have a quarterback to use. So
I see Anthony's laugh. What are you reading in the chat that's making you laugh?
The chat's saying a lot of funny things about my co-host, and it's getting me laughing pretty hard. I like how the whole chat just decided to call him a simp. I think that's really funny, and I'm gonna definitely make fun of him about that next time I talk to him. Someone said he chose his girl over us, and that killed me.
You know what, man? If he's got a girl in his bed and wants to watch some Netflix and chill, I don't blame him. I give him credit for coming on here at all. You can call him as simple as you want. I want to say thank you for Alex for coming on. I think if anybody had a girl in their bed right now, they probably wouldn't be watching the stream. Dakota, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. He says Giants win 27-17, one game at a time, but I think we go and beat whoever in the first round and maybe keep going the way the defense is playing. Keep Patrick Graham. Dakota, man, thank you very much. One game at a time. That's what I'm going to continue to say, one game at a time. But I do like your score prediction. I didn't want to be overly optimistic in mine. I had the Giants by 6. I think it'll be a close game. It's never easy with the Giants, but I could see us winning by 10 points. I could also see us losing this game. It's going to come down to the defense not turning the football over, but I could easily see us winning this game by that score prediction, Dakota. But thank you very much, man. Iron Man, anything else, buddy?
Yeah, so for that score prediction, I do agree with you. I think it'll be close. Like, I don't think any game is close with the Giants, like you said. That's just not the kind of team they are. They don't blow out teams. They like to win it close. But yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you guys for having me on, and hope to see you guys in the future again.
You got it, man. Thank you so much for coming on, buddy. I appreciate it.
Bye, guys.
All right, my man. All right. And we're gonna pull on. We got a couple for now. We got Saquon. He's always calling in. Let me get rid of that super chat so we can see everybody's faces. Hold on one second. Let me scroll up. And let's bring on Saquad's Barkley. He's always calling in every week. What's going on, Saquads? How you doing, buddy?
Hey, what's up?
What's going on, man?
Not much. I just saw that you were streaming and wanted to pop on for a little bit.
I appreciate you coming on. You got that Mets hat. We made a couple of moves today. I'm excited about.
Yeah. I have a couple questions though.
Yeah.
Do you so Jones is most likely playing. Do you think that with Jones the Garrett will call a better game than he did last week? Like, I know Colt McCoy isn't that great, so would he call more plays downfield, or do you think he's going to stick with the run game that has just been dominant?
Well, yeah, you and I'm going to let everybody speak on this, but you talk about calling a better game. I mean, to me, like you just said, the run game has been dominant. So why would I get away from it? I mean, I would try to run the ball. I would try to run the ball as much as I can. It's kind of what's fueled this winning streak. Maybe you could get a little more aggressive in the passing game, with Jones as opposed to McCoy. And I could definitely see them doing that. I think that they were trying to be ultra conservative with McCoy at quarterback. I think you'll see them take some shots down the field. This Arizona defense doesn't really scare me, but I think they're going to continue to do what they've been doing. That's run the ball and try to run the ball at will. But we'll start with Dig and we'll go around.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, if we run the ball 45 times, that'll be good. Joe Judge said that actually in his opening press conference. Sometimes we'll run it 40-plus times. Sometimes we'll pass it 40-plus times. And I think this is one of the times where we can run it 40-plus times. And the difference between DJ and Colt McCoy is last week I was pulling my hair out on stream because we had the ball with 1 minute left, over a minute left, and 3 timeouts at the end of the half. And we ran it 3 straight times and then got the punt block. So I think with DJ, we won't have to worry about being overly conservative. They at least trust DJ at this point to be a game manager. So I think we'll run it 35 plus times, and DJ will make a couple of clutch throws.
Yeah. Big Blue in the Bronx. Go ahead, my man.
Okay, so even though I've said this all night, I forgot 2 points that I forgot to bring up about the superstition thing. I have like a whole box of Pringles. I haven't eaten that in so many weeks. And even though people don't see it right now, I haven't shaved my face ever since the Giants' last loss. So let's keep hoping for wins so I can actually grow something out. But I definitely think that you're going to see a lot. Well, not a lot, but like a little bit more on the passing game now that Daniel's coming back. As I said before, he's not going to be 100%, but they probably will still lean a little bit more marginally on the running game because he is not at 100%. They'll go conservative. That's why I said earlier, Giants fans, please, don't get mad at the TV. Don't punch your TV. Don't break it. If you see conservative play calling, it is only to your quarterback's health.
Yeah. Anthony, go ahead, my man.
All right, I was waving to the chat. They asked me to wave. It's just so funny right now. What's the question? I'm just dead with this chat. I can't.
No. He was talking about Daniel Jones and whether or not the Giants open up the playbook more this week with Jones in there as opposed to McCoy.
Yeah, I absolutely think that they will. I don't think they're going to limit Daniel Jones the way that a lot of people do. I think that Joe Judge wouldn't do that. He said that he wants Daniel Jones to be able to make plays on instinct if he has to. He doesn't want him to try to make a play out of instinct and then stop himself because he's not feeling 100%. So I think that Jones is actually more healthy than a lot of fans do. Also, the Giants only have 2 active quarterbacks on the roster right now. The third, usually if you do have some questions about your starting quarterback's health, you would try to have 3 on the roster activated for tomorrow's game. They only have 2 is what I read. So that tells me that they're pretty confident in Daniel Jones. And I think that the game plan was very conservative with Colt McCoy. I don't think that they want to push him too far outside of his comfort zone. And I don't think they're going to ask Jones to do too much and start, throwing tons of deep balls. But I do think he's going to take a few deep shots and he's going to look as close to his normal self as he possibly could.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it'll be a little more open than last week. But I still think they try to focus heavily on the run. John says, anyone know what happened to Slayton? He hasn't been involved in the passing game the past 3 weeks. Also, which of these players? Wait. Also, which players do you see us bringing back? Okay, I think he means in terms of free agency. Yeah. Well, Slayton. It's really been 2 weeks, and he got banged up a little bit in that one game where it was on the deep passing pattern. Last week, I think, like I said earlier, I think it had a lot to do with Colt McCoy, and I think it was a conservative game plan. I didn't think that the Giants were going to be taking a lot of shots down the field, and that's kind of what Slayton's there for. So we'll see this week how they utilize him. But I do think Slayton could have a decent game for the Giants this week, depending on if they're able to get that ground game established. But in terms of the players that they're going to bring back, I hate to say it, guys. I think he's been fantastic. I think he's a leader of this football team. But if you ask me of the high-profile guys on defense, which is the guy that is most likely not to be back, as much as I've liked him, it's Logan Ryan. We have Xavier McKinney coming back next year. He's coming in the starting lineup. We only have so much money in cap space. I would love to keep all of them. And if they keep all of them, I'm all for it. But if they're going to let one guy go, I think it'll be Logan Ryan. I think they'll try to keep that defensive line intact by as best they can with Leonard Williams and Dalvin Tomlinson. So I think Logan Ryan could be the odd man out if they let somebody go on that defense.
Yeah, first off, I think
yeah, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, I think Logan Ryan is going to get paid. He's leading vote getter as far as the Pro Bowl. Not only fans vote on that, but also coaches and GMs too. So I think he's going to get paid. Leonard Williams is going to be our number one priority because you need that presence in the trenches. It's going to be interesting to see what we do with Dalvin Tomlinson because to pay Leonard Williams and Dalvin Tomlinson and then in a couple of years have to pay Dexter Lawrence, that's going to be kind of difficult to swallow to have that much tied up in the front 3. But I think Logan Ryan, like you said, is pretty much going to be the odd man out.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'd love to bring him back, but I just don't think they're going to have enough cap space in order to bring all of them back. But Saquon, let's go back to you, man. What else did you want to ask?
I have 2 more things. One is a superstition thing. I have not cut my hair since the beginning of the season, but I got cut a cleanup the week of the Bucks game. So we've been playing pretty good since then. So I'm just not gonna.
I don't blame you. I don't think you could change it. You should change the thing. I saw this in the chat by Dolph Gonzalez. He says, entertaining, man. All this approval of being conservative. I thought I was in a Trump live stream. Come on, Chris. We need to open up the offense if we're going to be good defenses. Dolph, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The strength of this team is running the football. It's how I thought we were going to win games when the year started. I'm not telling you we can't. Here's what I'll say. I thought we have opened up the offense a little bit. I don't think people are giving them enough credit for opening up the offense in recent weeks. Of course, we didn't do it last week with Colt McCoy, but the Giants are a run-first football team, as they should be. I think that's how this team's going to win football games. It's how I thought they were going to win football games at the beginning of the year. Next year, when you get better weapons, you could open it up a bit more, but you have to play to the strengths of your football team. And I think the strength of our football team is being a ball control offense. You support that defense and you close out games with it. So you could call it conservative, you could call it boring, but it's working. We've won 4 straight. We just beat one of the best teams in football in the Seattle Seahawks on the road by doing it with Colt McCoy at quarterback. So, yeah, we could open it up a bit now with Jones at quarterback, but I think you still need to stay committed to that run game. It's why we are where we are. And G-Men Sports, thank you so much, man. Chris, how was the video I sent you on Twitter? I commented on it. I checked it out, G-Men Sports. But thank you very much, buddy. I appreciate it, man. Saquon, anything else, my man?
Yeah, last thing. So I don't know if this is true, but this season I don't think Jones has had a drive at the end of the game where he goes down and wins it. Last week the defense had a stand to win the game. This week I think the offense is gonna drive down the field and win the game. Whether it's Graham Gano kicking it or Jones throwing a touchdown. I think it's going to be that close.
I sure hope so, man. And we have not had a I hope so. I just want to win. I don't care how we win, but it would be nice for Daniel Jones to close out a game in that way. And Mike, man, thank you so much, man, for the incredible generosity, man. Thank you so much, man. He says, we're coming. Dig is a class act, Chris. Hey, man, a lot of my subscribers asked me to get him on the channel today. I've seen some of his videos in the past. When I asked, what Giants subscribers would you like me to ask, I reached out to him on Twitter. I'm glad that he came on. Show my guys some love. Yeah, please go over there and subscribe to him. I've put his link throughout the chat. I'll put it again. And thank you so much, man, for the incredible generosity. I really appreciate it. Let me just read the rest of it. Keep that red hoodie, Chris. It's dandy. Go Giants. Listen, man, I have not – they've won their last 4 games with me wearing the hoodie. I'm not taking it off. Matter of fact, real quick, I was walking around with the red hoodie. Like, it's not a lie, guys. When I tell you I wear the red hoodie, I wear the red hoodie. It's not just on camera. I was walking around my neighborhood with the red hoodie on the other day, walking my dog, and I had 2 people notice me from my YouTube channel. So the red hoodie doesn't come off, guys. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But, Mike, man, thank you so much for the incredible generosity, man. I really appreciate that. Saquads, I'm going to let you go. Thank you for coming on. I'm going to get a couple more people on. I see Scott's in here, a long-time subscriber of mine. He's definitely going to add a little bit more of a comedic element. And then we're going to get ready to close the show out soon, man. But thank you so much for coming on, Saquads.
Yep.
All right, buddy. And I see the chat is still going at they're still going at Anthony a little bit. They see that you gave him a little attention, and now they're coming at you with the twerking and the working, and it is what it is. It's YouTube. People having some fun. But let's bring on Scott. Scott's a big Arizona fan. Been with me since.
Man, they were chanting.
Yeah, go ahead.
Am I Disney Wi-Fi right now or no?
No,
they were chanting Anthony Fart. Like, what's going on here, man? Why is that what they want to see? You see this stuff, man? It's killing me.
Let's bring on Scott. Scott's got the funky.
Oh my God!
What's going on, Scott?
I live under a boat, everybody. I live under a boat. Hi, long-time listener, first-time caller.
You've
love
called
you.
before. You've called before, way back in the day.
I did back in Mark Israel days with Bobby.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. I'm a Cardinals fan. I don't wear the gear. Oh, look! Don't look at that. Anyway, love you, Chris. Love the show. I was just wondering if you have me on. I didn't expect you to have me on. So, hello, everybody. Hope you're having a good time. Thanks, Mike, for the great donation there. Chris, I love you. Great show. I think Ingram's going to tear us up tomorrow. Like, I'm not real confident going in tomorrow. We're worried about our coaching staff. It's not our players. I back them up. I think our coaching, Vance Joseph and Kingsbury, maybe need to stop making the offensive plays and hire an OC. I don't know. But I know a lot of Giants fans, and I don't like you this week. I really don't, even Chris. But
I don't blame you.
Chris, I'm a longtime fan, right? Remember the chair in Brooklyn? The chair in Brooklyn Is that in the Smithsonian or where is that chair now? I want to buy that chair from you.
It's actually that I still have the chair. It's here.
Can I buy it from you? I'll take donations. I know Steel 58. We'll get some donations going, and yeah.
Scott, man, you're the man, dude. But
I love you. I don't want to ruin the show.
No. You're a Cardinal fan. I want to ask you. Obviously, you watch the team more than I do. Now your quarterback Murray, he's kind of struggled the last 3 weeks. How much
shoulder injury?
You put it on the shoulder injury, or do you put it on Kingsbury?
I think Kingsbury trying to protect him. I think he's frustrated. He can't. I think he's held in a box. Maybe just from body language from him, and he gets mad. If you get into Kyler's head, it's kind of like AJ Brown. You get into his head, they just fucking lose it a little. He's a young quarterback. I'm willing to we can flip a coin on that, but I would say Kingsbury. They're trying to protect him because who's our backup? I'd rather have your backup, probably. But does that answer your question?
No.
We need to run the ball. We need to run a little bit, but you guys are on the move when we're going down. If you look back in a few weeks, excuse my language. I'm ready to fight tomorrow, and I'm going to back up my team. But I hate my coaches. I do. So.
I don't blame you. I never liked the Kingsbury hire. I've never been a big fan of his.
Vance Joseph, he couldn't make it as a head coach.
Let me get your score prediction tomorrow. Giants Cardinals.
We gotta outscore you, but we're not. What's up with D-Hop? Can I do the generic 24-17? 24-17. We need some interceptions from Daniel Jones. Hi, panel. I love you, Chris. You know you're one of the best people, and I love the success of the show, and I've always been a part of it. I still am. Not in the forefront anymore, but I love you, Chris, and thank you, panel. I'm gonna get out of here before I stink this up.
No, Scott's been on my channel a few times. He shot his gun twice. Scott, I want to make sure you don't shoot anybody right now.
No, I don't do that anymore. After the Sports Fury, listen to that one with me doing it. I don't do it. Don't do it, people. I live in the middle of nowhere, under a boat. Love you, Chris.
Scott, man, thank you so much. Bobby's the best.
Take care.
Scott, thank you so much for coming on, man. Thank you for being a great supporter. All right. That was the infamous Scottzilla. Corbin says, Anthony, you're the man. Keep laughing. Sup, Chris? Anthony's awesome. Anthony's a great guy. I've been on their channel a bunch of times. I'm glad that I got an opportunity to have him on. All you guys are awesome. Sorry, sometimes it gets a little goofy when you have the people come on, but thank you to everybody for coming on tonight and having fun. Who we got left? We got Zach. I don't think I've ever had Zach Phillips on before. Zach, what's up, buddy? Thanks for coming on.
Hey, what's up?
What's going on, my man?
Oh, not much. I've been asking about the whole Hopkins thing. If he does play, I think he is going to be like limited. He's not going to have like 100% of the snaps because he's like neck and back. And I mean, if he takes one hit from Jarrell Peppers, he's going to be out for the rest of the game.
Yeah, we'll see. The one thing I'll say about Hopkins, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe you guys know better than me on the panel. I'm pretty sure from what everybody has told me, he's been on the injury report pretty much every week this entire year. For the Arizona Cardinals, that's accurate, right, guys?
Yeah, I have him on my fantasy team. He's been on the injury report pretty much every week.
Oh, that just might be me or whatever. But also, I think the special team is due for a return back.
Let me ask you. We brought in Dante Pettis, Big Blue in the Bronx. I don't know if he's going to be active in this game. Do you guys know if he's going to be active in this game? I haven't heard anything. But he's a guy that I thought –
Has he ever been?
He hasn't been yet. But he's a guy that I thought could provide a boost in the kick return game. Haven't seen him out on the field yet, but maybe we get to see him this week. I don't know. I don't even know if he's on the 53-man roster this week.
I wouldn't care if it was Lewis or Peppers. Like, it could be kick return or punt return. It don't matter. I just feel like one of the two will – I think they're just due for one.
You're calling for a big play in the special teams.
Yeah, I feel like the last two games, it's been like the when they punt and it became a safety, and then like they had a return back on him. So it's like the special teams is due for something big. I don't know what it is, but I just have that feeling it's going to be something big.
We'll see, man. We'll see. What do you think of Kyler Murray? How do you think we're going to handle him?
I think he's too short. I think he can't see over our defensive line. I think we're going to bet. I think Thompson's going to knock a couple of his balls down. Might get some picks out of the chip drill.
I can't help but laugh. I keep seeing Anthony laugh because he's looking at the chat. Anthony, you haven't farted yet. They keep telling you to fart. How come you haven't farted yet?
I just do, man. It's too funny, bro. I just can't help it.
All you got to do is fart, and they'll stop. Just fart.
Well, they've been asking me to.
They want me to do a lot more than
They've
fart.
been asking me to fart. Someone wants me to do the dab. They just want me to do everything, man. I'll do the dab for them. Maybe they'll stop. Ready?
There's the
Mickey Mouse Wi-Fi.
Teach him how to Dougie.
His dad broke the internet.
Do the Reddit. It's too funny, man. I got to do this more often. The chat is just like amazing.
Yeah, the chat is definitely getting at you, man. But Zach, man, anything else, buddy?
No, I do think Daniel Jones is going to run a little bit. I don't think it's going to be 80 yards. If it comes down to it's like 39 and the only opportunity is for him to run down the field to get a first down, I feel like he will run to get the first down. It's just not in him to take a sack. And if the opportunity comes and he needs to run for a first down, he'll run for a first down.
All right, we'll see. I definitely think if the opportunity is there, he's going to run. I don't expect to see a lot of design run plays this week. I think they'll try to keep I think they'll try. I think they'll try to keep him healthy.
Yeah, if the opportunity comes, I think he will run for a first down.
We'll see, man. Zach, man, I want to say thank you so much for being a great subscriber. Thank you for coming on, and enjoy the game tomorrow, buddy.
Thanks.
All right, my man. We're going to talk to the chat for a little bit, and then I think we're going to get ready to wrap this up. It's 10:58. We've been going for a while, and it's gotten a little funny tonight, to say the least. But we're going to wrap this up. I'm going to bring one more on. Mike's been waiting for a while. We'll bring him on, then we're going to wrap this up. Mike, what's up, buddy? You there? I think Mike's got the Mickey Mouse Wi-Fi.
Hold on.
You there, Mike?
I'm here.
What's up, buddy?
What's up, entertainer?
What's going on, my man?
Not much, man.
Now you've been coming on, buddy.
Not much. I'm wet.
What?
Huh?
I didn't hear what you said.
What'd you say? What'd you say?
I said thanks for coming on.
Oh. No problem. But we're gonna win tomorrow. We're winning.
Give me a final score, Mike.
24-21.
I like it. Coffin says Mike fell asleep, shaking my head. I don't think Mike fell asleep. Did you fall asleep, Mike?
No.
So you got 24. You got 24-21. I got 26. I got 26-20.
All right. Now I'm gonna ask a question. Who on the offense? How should I word this? Who on the offense do you think needs to have a big game?
Wayne Gallman. The running game. Whether it's the offensive line they have to run the ball very well to win this football game.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna say in the pass game, Evan Ingram.
He's our best weapon when he can catch the football. So I'll agree.
Yeah. And Daniel Jones has been going to him more. So I hopefully he doesn't turn the ball over.
That's the key to the game, man. Each and every week, can't turn the football over. Got to run the ball effectively. Can't turn the football over. And you got the Giants winning by 3. We'll see how it plays out, Mike.
Yep.
Anything else, my man?
Just so everybody sub up the entertainer. You're a great Giants content creator, as well as Anthony. Sub him up. And
Mike, man, you seem like you're a little tired, buddy.
A little bit.
Well, I need you to get some sleep. I need you to get some sleep so you're ready for the game tomorrow.
All right.
All right, Mike. Thank you for coming on, buddy.
No problem.
All right, my man. That was Mike Nixon. Been with me forever. It's been a fun. It's been an eventful night, to say the least. The chat definitely had Anthony rolling throughout the stream, and Anthony, you got any more nights at Disney, or is this your only last night, or what?
No, I gotta drive home tomorrow so I can live stream for the game on Fireside Giants, and then of course watch the game and be fully invested because my sister and my mom are going back to the park tomorrow, but I had to cancel my reservation and just go home because the Giants are playing, man. I gotta be home for that.
Gotta be dedicated.
You gotta be ready to rock. You gotta be ready to rock and roll. If you guys have not done so, please go on over to Anthony's channel, subscribe over there. Did a great job tonight. They definitely went at him the entire stream. He was a good sport. Thank you so much, Fran, for coming on. And let's just wrap it up with a final score prediction from everybody. Anthony, go ahead, my man.
Ooh, I'm gonna say the offense is gonna do pretty well. I'm gonna go 28-21. I'm gonna pick the Giants to win by that score.
Got him by 7. I like it. Big Bull in the Bronx. Go ahead, my man.
I have another comment after this, but I'm going to say 27. I'm going to go with 27-20. And I have this expectation now because of who's kicking. I want at least one blocked kick. Mike Nugent is kicking. He hasn't kicked in a long time, and his leg is worn out.
Backup kicker. That's a good point.
Yeah, I'll go 28-14. Going back to the kicker, I would have had 28-17, but with Gonzalez out, I'll go a missed field goal, so 28-14.
I like it. Optimism, double-digit victory. I almost wanted to do that myself. I went a little more conservative. I went with 26-20. You said you had something else to add there, Big Bull in the Bronx?
I thought the block kick one was the one I wanted.
Oh, that was okay. Dakota says Wayne Train gonna have a good game. Let's go Giants. He needs to if we're gonna win. But I want to say thank you to all three of my guests for coming on tonight, as well as Alex, who right now is Netflix and chilling. But hopefully everybody enjoys the game tomorrow. Hopefully the New York Giants get a victory. Hopefully we get 5 straight. Thank you guys for being the best supporters on YouTube. I know you guys had a little extra fun tonight with some of my guests. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Let's get a W tomorrow. I'll be live with Bad Dog. Like Anthony said, he'll be live, I guess, pregame on your channel.
Yeah, probably around noon, 12:15, somewhere around there.
All right, so go over there, check him out over there. You could attack him in the chat over there. And but thank you to everybody for coming on, man. I really do appreciate it. You guys are the best. Thank you guys for being great supporters. And let's get a W tomorrow. Be safe, everybody. Have a good night.